Welcome to the second day of the Horse Tourneys Players Championship, round 2 of the 2021 Tourney Triple. I'm Scott Carson, founder of Sport of Kings, and I'm here with my co-host, Chris Larmey. Well, Chris, today the bombs started flying. Shall we recap?
Yes, you bet. It's quite a bit different than we had yesterday. It was pretty chalky. We started out with a 53-1 horse that ran second in the Keeneland Third Reward Night. That he didn't win, but that's still worth 24 points if you had him in the contest.
22.
Oh, 22. Whoops, that's right.
About the same thing.
Yeah.
And then I'll Do It For You won the Santa Anita first at 19-1, and there were a lot of players that had that one.
Yeah, and then a couple races later in the third, Rager won at 17-1 at Santa Anita. So that the early card at Santa Anita was very productive. So that probably helped some of the people who like to focus on the West Coast.
If you don't like playing California racing, then you missed out on some bombs today.
Definitely.
And the biggest bomb was Burbonic, who won the Wood at Aqueduct at 72-1, crushing my dreams as I was all over Dynamic One at 15-1, and I thought he was home free.
Yeah, it's like a $600 1-2 exacta in a Grade 2 stakes for trainer Todd Pletcher. How often are you going to get a Pletcher exacta in a graded stakes for over $600? That was a crazy race.
After yesterday's low scoring affair, it doesn't surprise me that happened today.
Yeah, especially the way Aqueduct had been playing yesterday and most of the card today until the end, and then the fireworks started. Because we didn't finish that. You didn't mention the last race. We had a big bomber run second at 62-1 as well. So Aqueduct was even productive there at the end of the card. Yeah,
absolutely. And and we have a new leader who started the day. I'm not sure exactly where he was in the standings, but he only had 3760 total. His name is Dan Wild, and he is our new leader. He hit with 10-1 Saratoga Beauty in Aqueduct 5th. He hit Rager at 17-1 at Santa Anita and Capper Burbonic to take the lead with 194. And that is where he sits right now atop the leaderboard.
30-point. Yeah, with a 30-point lead. That's a pretty big separation at this point in the contest. So he's in a great spot. He has 3 picks remaining, and most of the players on that leaderboard don't have more than that. There's a few that have 4 or 5. But he's in a really good spot with 3 picks left and a 30-point lead.
Yes, he is. And really interesting that Nicholas McMurdy, who we mentioned a few times yesterday because we thought it was interesting that he was playing pretty low prices. Well, his whole angle has been to play chalk, and he's hit a lot of races. And he's sitting in 5th with $153. He hit Coast of Rhone in the last race at Santa Anita, and he got some money for that. So, I mean, he played Drain the Clock at 1-2 at Aqueduct and got 480 for that. But, a little bit here, a little bit there. He's picked up a lot of ways.
Yeah, there's different ways to play it. You play to your strengths. You play to what the way you're comfortable playing. And if that's his style and he has a good day, he's right there. He's within striking range in the top 5. And he still has 5 picks remaining. So, he's not in a bad spot at all. He's only $10 out of second place. And the prize money is pretty big, even if you don't win it. There's some pretty good prizes. Maybe you want to give a rundown on what the prize structure is for the top few positions.
Okay.
Or I can give a rundown if you got
it. Sure, I'll give the rundown. Well, the first place is $200,000. Second place is $79,000. Third is $39,000, and fourth is $29,000. Now let's just recap what happened with our players who started the day at the top of the leaderboard, who had day prize money yesterday. The first one is Chris Bertolucci, who has added very few. He's added less than $20 to his total, and he's dropped to 8th place. The second place person yesterday was Ryan Leeper. He took the lead for a while, but he's still only added $30 to his total. But it's still enough to keep him in second. It's still $30 out of first place. Then we have, let's see.
Well,
We
just to
have
point
Basil.
out, I just make one point. It kind of shows you how hard it is to have two really good days in a row. Usually, even the winner has kind of an average day and a really good day. And it's just really hard to put back-to-back big days together in a contest like this.
Yeah. So Basil DeVito has kind of dropped down to 12th from third place. He has only added about $30 to his total. And Salvador Simeone has done a little bit better. He was in fourth place with 116, and now he's in ninth place. He didn't fall back that far. He's gained about $36 to 151.
Yeah, I mean, they're all still definitely within striking range with plenty of races left. I'm sure they would like to have added more to their score, but even Basil down in 12th place, he's got 5 picks left. He's at 144, and a couple of winners, he could go right to the front. And it really is a top-heavy leader prize structure. So, first place, 200,000. That's it's a big drop off. It's still a nice second place, 80,000. That's a big drop off, and then down to just under 40,000 for third. So, that it'll be real fun at the end when people are trying to get in. At the end, what decisions they make. Do they try to settle for second or try to make it to second or make it to first? I mean, that's when all the contest strategy comes in. That's really fun part of contests that you don't get just with your everyday, wagering play. That I think makes it a lot more fun.
Now, I just noticed an amazing thing, and that is that Brian Chenvert was in fifth place yesterday. He didn't get prize money, so we didn't notice it as much, but he finished fifth with his first entry. Well, today, his second entry has crushed it, and he's moved into third with his second entry. And I'm not even sure where his first entry is. I have to find his first entry dropped to 25th because it's gained only $7. So
that's the curse of contest players, splitting your tickets.
Splitting the ticket.
Yeah, if I could have had all those winners on one ticket, I'd be running away with the contest. Yeah, that can happen. But he still could win it, and he can take shots with that one that's farther down the leaderboard. He can take some big shots with that, and maybe get lucky.
He's in good position. He hit reward night for $22. He hit I'll Do It For You for $51. He hit Burbonic for $64. So he's having a pretty good day.
Yeah, hopefully he's been betting on some of those as well. So he's making some money on the side.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. Hopefully he is, and also for the track's sake.
Yes.
Well, I think we can take a break from recapping and maybe switch to the live racing at Santa Anita, because we have a pretty big race coming up.
Yeah, we saw a favorite in Essential Quality stamp his ticket to the Derby, probably as the likely favorite. He was in a battle with Highly Motivated. He didn't win easily, but they were both well clear of the rest. So that was a good performance by him. And now we get to see another favorite, Bob Baffert's Medina Spirit, try to do the same thing and kind of stamp himself as one of the favorites leading into the Derby. He's 4-5 right now, and that's probably about where he'll go off. That's sort of where I expected him to be. What about you, Scott? Is that kind of in line with what you were expecting?
Yeah, I thought maybe more like 7-5. He looks good, but he doesn't look that great. He is getting very good workout reports. So when the workout reports are good in California, they tend to get bet, especially if it's a Baffert workout report. If it's a Baffert trainee who's working that lights out, and that's apparently what he's doing right now. He's stepping it up. So yeah, in that context, 4-5 doesn't surprise me. I'm a little surprised just because he's only won a couple. He hasn't won that much. Now, then again, he was second to Life is Good. So that's almost as good as winning versus all these other horses.
Yeah, the workouts, his last workout, just a little note of interest. It might be of interest to somebody. the horse he worked with in that last workout ran pretty impressive maiden win earlier in the card. So keeping a horse named Laurel River might be one you want to tab as a Baffert horse that's probably going to win some races going forward. That was a horse who worked with Medina Spirit in his last work, and they both looked good. And Laurel River ran to those works. We'll see if Medina Spirit does.
Well, so let's handicap this. Let's handicap this race and handicap our handicappers. How many people do you think near the lead are going to go with Medina Spirit at 4 to 5?
I'm thinking. I think the first question is how many people are going to play this race. Because if they're afraid of Medina Spirit, then they may just pass the race, right?
Yeah, but there are quite a few that still have 5. The 5th, 6th.
So we have 5 races left. So I guess if you have 5 picks, you don't have a choice, right?
Yeah. So of the people that have 5 picks,
yeah.
Do you think they play it safe, or they if they're Nicholas McMurdy,
he's going to play Medina Spirit.
He's playing Medina Spirit.
Yeah, and if you really like him and you have to play this race, it's kind of like a mandatory race, let's say in the NAC. You can think of Medina Spirit as kind of he's blocking for you, so that if you pick somebody and lose, there's probably you're going to lose to Medina Spirit, and you don't give up that much ground to the field. So you kind of use him defensively, and you go with if there's another horse you like in here at a price. The problem is the other kind of logical contenders are all kind of about the same price. They're not real juicy from a contest standpoint. They're like 5 to 1, 6 to 1 in that range. So I don't know if that would be the way to go in here, unless there was one of those second tier horses that you really like. I think there is kind of one horse that's a big price that might have a chance for the people who really need to start swinging. They're at the end game and they need a cab horse, and that's the 6th horse, Otto the Legend. I thought it was interesting.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. And
yeah, I mean, it's just interesting. He's, only his last race was just really impressive. He had all kinds of trouble. And the fact that Asmussen shipped him out, to run at Santa Anita against, horses he knew were going to be good tells me that they must be pretty high on this horse, because he could have, tried any of the other preps. He could have went to the Bluegrass or to the Wood. So to me, that horse, and plus Asmussen just so good with his 3-year-olds, they typically just continue to improve race after race. Now he needs to improve significantly, and this is asking a lot, but I mean,
it's only his 3rd race, so he's definitely got upside.
Yeah, he's the upside horse in here. I think that's a price. I mean, there's some others with upside that might run well, but you're not getting 35 to 1 on those.
Right, and there are a couple of mid-price horses that I think are viable contenders. I personally picked Medina Spirit, but I'm not in a contest. Now, if I was in the contest, besides Otto the Legend, which would be sort of the Hail Mary pick in this race, the Great One ran very well 2 races ago, and he's getting fabulous workout reports. So the Great One, the Great One ran fast enough 2 races ago that if he were to repeat that race, he could probably win this race. And that's certainly a possibility. So he's at 8 to 1, and that's pretty sweet. And then the other horse that I'm thinking is Dream Shake, who also, in his very first race, he ran a race that was, even though it was a sprint, it got a speed figure on the sheets that would win this race. So it's faster than Medina Spirit has ever run. And same with the Great One. His race 2 races ago was faster than Medina Spirit has ever run. Now, was that too fast, too soon for those horses? Maybe. But, at 5 to 1, 6 to 1, 8 to 1, maybe now's a good time to find out.
Yeah, I mean, that you're kind of, they definitely both have talent. My inclination, though, in this sort of a race is I'd rather play a horse with upside to make the big forward move than for one to kind of bounce back after their last race. So to me, Otto the Legend is obvious at the price, but of the other mid price that you talked about, I kind of would lean towards the other Baffert, because This horse looks a lot like Concert Tour. He has to improve some to win, but he's going first route. But, Baffert, first route in graded stakes, his numbers are just off the chart with 3-year-olds. So I don't think first route's a problem. They gelded him, which I thought was kind of interesting. And, they're starting him in here. Probably he wouldn't have been in this race if Life is Good was, not scratched. But, that to me is the other horse's upside. I don't think you're getting a great price on him. He's one of these that's in the 5 to 6 to 1 range.
Yeah, I don't like that horse. I feel like he's just padding the field here with that horse. I mean, he's going from 6 furlongs to
but
8,
Baffert
9 furlongs.
Bob Baffert. Here's his stats.
Yeah.
3-year-old graded stakes stretching out. This is 3-year-old graded stakes stretching out. Exactly what we got here. 7 for 16.
He's going to be 7 for 17 after this race.
Well, I think he'll run a good race. I don't know if he's good enough.
I think he's an underlay at 5 to 1. I'd much rather have the great one who's already run a big fig at going 2 turns, and he's had time since that big fig.
Yeah, see, that's just we just have a different view on these kinds of races. So I would think the opposite. But I think actually, if I had to play a horse in the contest, I'd be on the 6 horse, Otto the Legend. I'm curious to see how he does. But I think if you're in the contest,
would you do that if it were, like if you were like in the top 10?
Yeah, I would try to go for it here because I think Medina Spirit's really solid in here, probably going to win. So I take a shot, and if I lose and Medina Spirit wins, I really don't lose much. But if I could hit it, then I could jump way up, right, with a calf horse. So that's kind of how I would play it. But I tend to be more aggressive than most players, so I'm guessing most of them will be on a horse like, you said the 2 you picked or the one I picked, the 5 or 6 to 1. There's a lot of people like Rock the World who I'm not too big on, though, on that one.
All right, well, they're in the gate, and there they go. And I'm just waiting a few seconds, and then I'm going to reload. And Nicholas McMurdy goes with Otto the Legend. The guy who's been playing the chalk.
He's been waiting all day to play the bomber.
He figured between Otto the Legend and all that chalk, he could pull off the upset. Wow. Okay, and Ryan Leeper, who's in second, has Rock Your World, who's on the lead.
Yeah, Johnny V is doing his standard 3 wide stalking trip on Medina Spirit. I don't particularly like that, but that's where he likes to put the horses. So he's right where he wants to be. Rock Your World does get to avoid the kickback, which helps for a turf horse. So we'll see if what he's got. But it's kind of where you'd expect right now. This is sort of pretty much how you'd expect the race to unfold at this point. Not any real surprise.
The chicklets are moving around faster than the horses are.
Yeah. They went pretty good clip, 46 and change for a half mile. That's racehorse time, especially after some of the races we've been watching where they're going 50 and change at Aqueduct. A lot of that has to do with the track. Dream Shake and Medina Spirit are trying to go after Rock Your World, but Rock Your World's looking pretty strong right here. He's looking really strong. Yeah, he might rock. Yeah,
he may rock this world
here. Yeah.
I mean, 110. I don't know. I think they're going to catch him.
I don't know. He's looking strong. It's going to be a battle.
Oh, he's bouncing around.
No, he's gone. It's going to be Rock Your World rocking his way to the Kentucky Derby with an impressive run there.
He's now 3 for 3. And now Rock Your World wins at 5 to 1. And let's see. So that means Ryan Leeper is not going to take the lead with that, but it's going to get him a solid 15 points, 15 to 20 points. Medina Spirit got second, so he probably won't get as much place money. Let's see. Anybody else have Rock Your World? Gary Leff, who's in 24th, had Rock Your World, and so did Tim Smith, who's in 27th. Not that many people had Rock Your World. So
that was a big race for Ryan Leeper, who will, now be in real good striking range with 2 picks left. Dan Wild did not.
No, he has 3 picks left.
Oh, 3. Okay, so he's in good shape. real good shape. And so is Dan Weil with 3. A lot of people passed on that race. But
yeah, with only 3 picks, I would have passed on that race, and I think I would have passed on that race. Dream Shake got 3rd. Defunded got 4th.
So Rock Your World went wire to wire. A very passive ride by Johnny V there on Medina Spirit. Think he was going to win anyway, but he certainly made it easy on the winner.
Yeah, so that's not going to change our standings that much. So before we get into like serious contest theory, we're going to have a little interview. We interviewed somebody who was doing well in the contest as of yesterday, and he's dropped back a little. His name is Ken Jordan. He was in 31st place yesterday, and when we interviewed Ryan Flanders, he was in about the same place. He dropped back, and then he hit a capper in the last race. So he still has a chance for the interview karma to hit him. So we're going to go to the interview with Ken Jordan at this moment. And we're here with Ken Jordan, who is in 31st place in the Horse Tourneys Players Championship. Ken, how you doing?
Well, better than I was a half hour ago when we started to put this together. But thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah. So how do you feel? I mean, you're in 31st place out of 311 players, so you're in the top 10%, and you did pretty well. Although I noticed that not until the 17th race did you hit a double-digit winner with Reedley. So, how do you feel about how you played today?
Considering I don't think I played well today, to be in 31st place is a bonus. Uncharacteristically for me, I had 2 $5 winners, which I preached strongly against, but I took them when they gave them, and a few decent place prices really made it a good day, and hopefully it'll be a platform to jump off tomorrow.
So now, did you kind of do a pick and pray? Because you said you normally don't have 2 $5 winners. Did you put all your picks in, or were you going, kind of glued to your computer and playing race by race?
Well, that's a cruel fate to having to be by the computer the whole day. But I put picks in, and it's way too early in a 2-day contest. Way too early to change. Although when the odds board started to drift down, there's so many last minute changes. I thought I might get a few in my favor. I did not. So happy to cash. The idea of taking $8 to $12 out of a race on the first day is just fine with me.
All right. Chris, do you have any questions for Ken?
Well, it looks like you kind of had a slow start to the day, but it looks like you didn't panic and you sort of rallied and did pretty well the second half of the day and put yourself in a position. So just mentally, how does that when you start out kind of slow?
It's the worst feeling in the contest world. Starting out slow. How quickly you're able or you're willing to change from your game plan usually tells you how long a contest player has been playing. I think the more experience I get in contests, I try to stick to the game plan as long as I can, and realize that if there's going to be a horse in the last 3 or 4 races at Santa Anita tomorrow that'll make the difference, you just want to be in a contention to be alive to that. If you midway on the first day, if you're disappointed with not being up at the top of the leaderboard and you deviate from your plan, you're asking for a very quick exit from the contest.
So you didn't hit the panic button. It paid off. You're kind of in a pretty decent spot going into tomorrow. Sort of what's your game plan? Now you get to select the races. there are certain kinds of races you're looking for, certain odds range you're looking to play? I mean, what's kind of your strategy going forward tomorrow?
I'm looking at Keeneland's 4th through 8 races as probably the prime opportunities to hit some nice prices. You'll have to keep a few bullets for the end of Santa Anita, of course. New York, you might get some short price overlays, but that's it's mostly going to be Keeneland 4 through 8 for me.
How much have you handicapped already?
I usually go through the races 3 times before I'm ready to make a decision, and I'm about 1.5 times through. Let's say we've had some technical difficulties tonight that got away.
We're not helping you any, is what you're telling us.
Yeah, I mean, we either are sending you to the winner circle or to the doghouse.
But
well, you might send me for a new computer after tonight.
Well, hopefully you can cash and you can buy a new computer.
Yes, if you hit it, I think of that 200,000. I would put 1,000 on a good computer, Ken. That's one suggestion. But the climate has been good. On the pod, though, last contest we interviewed people before the second day, and they finished first, second, and third out of the four people we interviewed. So, you do have that going for you to counter the little distraction that we provided.
Well, I'll just have to find 2 envelopes for tomorrow then, I guess.
Well, you know what? We're willing to accept those envelopes because if we get the envelopes, that means you're getting an envelope.
Yeah.
That's okay with me then. That sounds like a fair deal.
So tomorrow, do you think you're going to be playing? Will you be glued to the computer because you are within reach of that $200,000 top prize?
Yeah, well, that's a great thought. But yes, tomorrow I've cleared the day to be glued, and maybe I have glue over the cover of my microphone. I don't know, but we'll be giving it our best attention tomorrow.
All right, and Ken, just for purposes of our audience who may not know you, what's like your biggest score? What's your biggest contest score? Because I know you have at least one.
Biggest contest score was in 2015. I was fortunate enough to finish second in the NHC.
Well, there you go. Yeah, and we've had you on the pod, and it was great to have you. But like we have so many illustrious handicappers on the pod, I did not remember that you got second. But congratulations, because that had to be a hell of a score.
That was everything came together. The horses got their noses on the wire just right. The holes opened up on the turn. It's just, so many good players out there, Scott and Chris, and you guys being 2 of them. That if it's your day, if it's your 2 days, or if it's your weekend, that's available to a lot of people to break through.
Absolutely. Well, we wish you luck in the contest tomorrow, and especially now that we've had you on the Horse Tourneys. It's sort of an extension of the Sport of Kings pod, but the Horse Tourneys Players Championship live stream. We look forward to you doing well, and we hope that you take home the money.
Thanks. Good luck. Good luck. Continued with the pod and the broadcast you do, and you guys do a great job.
All right. Well, fantastic, and we'll see you on the leaderboard tomorrow.
Okay.
Good luck, Ken.
Good luck to you guys.
And welcome back to the Players Championship show. I mentioned the Tourney Triple, and it bears repeating. There are 3 big money on horse tourneys, and now they are tied together with a bonus. The first leg of the Triple was the Flow Cow Face-Off, won by Alan Levitt. And by the way, Alan Levitt, who he started with about $24 today, he hit Burbonic at Aqueduct, so he is back in the top 100. Now, this second leg could go down to the wire, and the third leg is the Spa and Surf Showdown, which runs August 14th through 15th. There's going to be a bonus if anybody wins two of these things, and Alan right now is the most likely person to do that. He'll win a $1 million bonus. So if he can somehow come out of the clouds, he had 6 plays last time I looked. He would win $1 million. If he could win 3 of the events, all 3, he'd win $2 million. And there's also a point system. The top 100 get points. So Alan, for example, has 100 points coming into this. If he finishes in the top 100 and gets more points, and hopefully also does it in the third leg, whoever the top point getter is will win an NHC and a BCBC spot. And the second place will win a BCBC spot. And the third one will win an entry to the big one. So big money on the line here on Horse Tourneys.
You bet. Lots of money. And it's getting pretty exciting now. It's $8 separates the top 2. And then there's a cluster of people a little bit farther back behind them. And most of the players up at the top still have 3 or 4 picks left. So they'll get to play almost every race. They'll have to, be a little bit choosy and not play every race. But I think everyone's going to save one for the last race, probably the last 2. Actually,
well,
there's only 3 races. Oh, there's 4 left.
No, there's 4. Yeah. There's 4. Okay, yeah. So let's talk theory here, because the top 4 players only have 3 picks. So which race would you exclude? And I'm thinking that it's between the 9th race, which is the next race, or the last race, because they could potentially be chalky. Which race would you not make a play in?
Well, I would definitely save one for the last race. You don't want to be dead in the last race, because you almost have to hit that last race to win these kinds of contests. So I definitely would play that one. After that, it just depends on the 3. I would look for the 2 other horses in the next 3 races that you like the most and play them. I wouldn't worry about the race. I would look, play the horses you want. Now, that's assuming you're near the top. You have to be a little tactical about what you play in the last few, depending on what you need to get up the leaderboard. It also depends on what you're shooting for. Do you want that 200,000? I mean, everyone wants it, but are you happy to get, 5th place and 25,000, or you really want that, go for the 200,000 because you don't have that opportunity very often? So, it depends.
Yeah, I mean, but let's say you're convinced that the chosen Braun, and I'm not convinced, although I think he does have a very good shot to win at under 2-1 in the last race. If you think you've got better plays in the 3 other races, don't you make the bet and just take your chance?
You could. I would say
try to take the lead and be above the 8-5 favorite going into the last race.
Yeah, maybe if that we'll have to wait till the last race to see if you could do that. But if you love the chosen Braun and you're near the top, then you can just play him and if you're, to me, I want to have a play in that last race unless I absolutely love something in the next 3. But and I don't think chosen Braun's a lock by any stretch in that race anyway. So, but I mean, even if you did, I would save it for that, especially if I'm like running 1 or 2.
Your case makes more sense to me if you can tell me which race you would like to exclude. You only have 3 plays left. So which race are you not going to bet?
Well, you probably don't have a real strong opinion in all 3 of those races. I'd play the 2 that you have the strongest opinions in and just not play the third. For me, that would be...
Well, conceptually, that makes sense, but we're actually talking about an actual contest with... like if you were in this contest right now,
for me, for my opinion, I would skip the 10th. That's the one I think is chalky. I think Prayer for My Owner looks really strong in there, and will probably get bet down well below the 3-1 morning line. So, and I don't love it enough to play it. So that's the one I would probably pass on.
Okay, that's very interesting. Yeah, I would actually pass the last race, but But it's tough. I mean, actually, I would probably make sure I saved 4 plays for these 4 races because even though, I think the Chosen Brawn could win, I don't think he's a lock. And I also don't think that Charmaine's Mia in this next race is a lock, especially at 4-5. I mean, I think there's like some tremendous value in trying to beat her.
Yeah, I agree. I think this next race is a good one to play. And there are quite a few people within striking range that have 4 plays. So they get to play them all. They don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some others that, unfortunately, for like Salvador Simeone, he's only got 2 plays left. William Roth has got no plays left. He's in 7th, and we'll see if he manages to stay in the top 28 because we're paying down to the top 28 today.
Yeah, let's see what is that cut. 28th place has $121. So with 4 races to go, I'm guessing you got to be at like 140 probably to be safely above that cash line by the end of these 4 races. It all depends on how they shake out, but maybe a little lower, maybe 135 because not everybody has a play in every race.
Are we looking at the same leaderboard? Because my leaderboard says 117.
I don't know. I don't know the last time I refreshed it. For what place?
For 28th.
Yeah, 117.
Okay.
That's what I have.
Just making sure because that's what's on the YouTube video. So just want to make sure we have the right leaderboard up there.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about this race then. I mean, this is one you said you would like to play, right, Scott? Who do you like in here?
I'm afraid of Charmaine's Mia, but the one thing about it is that there's a lot of speed in this race, and she's shown a lot of speed in her last 2 races. She doesn't necessarily need the lead, so she's probably flexible enough to be able to let the speed go. But she's not that much faster. She's a 5-year-old. She's not that much faster. I think that I definitely want to have I want to take a shot against her.
Yeah, she's won a couple of races, impressively. So, I don't know how it's hard to win 3 big ones in a row. And she stretched out last time pretty well. But sometimes that second time on a stretch out after 2 big efforts can take its toll too. So, she doesn't seem invincible. And I agree, there's plenty of other speed. Laura's Light, the 6 horse, is kind of interesting because she's shown some talent. She was kind of like a runoff last year. But I think, she might be sitting on a good race in here, and she has a lot of speed. So does the 5 horse. But I mean, if you never know if these riders, if one of them, grabs, like Johnny V rides Raimondo's Secret like he rode Medina Spirit, then Laura's Light might get out and roll on the front end. So she's kind of an interesting horse in here.
Well, at 14-1, I mean, she would absolutely be my play in this race. I don't know if she's going to stay up that high.
According to the odds projector, she's 13-1 projected odds right now.
See, I like that because she does like to run on the lead, but she also let a horse go 10 lengths ahead of her in one of hers, and swooped in and nailed her. So there are a few other horses here that are playable. Would Laura's Light be your play, or?
Well, I think she's one you consider. I think the problem could be severely pace compromised if she gets in a pace duel with the 5, or even with Charmaine's Mia. I mean, like you said, the pace probably will be hot. I was just saying there is a scenario where maybe Laura's Light does get clear and then she's dangerous. So, she's a little bit iffy, but at that price, she would definitely interest me. And depending on where you are on the leaderboard, 13-1, if you're down there with like 2 picks remaining and you're in 15th or 20th place, that's probably the kind of horse you want to play, because that would, if you hit, that would get you pretty close to the top, and you have that one last play that might get it done for you. So to me, that would be a good play for somebody, in that area, like someone like, let's see, that in that 145 range. Yeah, that would someone like Basil DeVito in 12th place. That would be a good play for them. I think there are other options. Who do you like in here?
Well, I hadn't decided, and I was going to let the board tell me. I'm kind of interested in Warren Showtime because she's a closer. She is only 6-1, and her morning line is 8-1. So maybe that's a good sign that she's being bet down a little bit from her morning line. I think she could be the one who closes into this pace. I'm also interested in Tapwater, the 2, and also the 1 Dog Tag. What are your other contenders?
Well, yeah, I agree that Warren Showtime. She's kind of a gritty type, and she always seems to run well. So if she got a good trip, and they do go fast up front, there's no reason why she couldn't win. And I agree with you on Tapwater and Dog Tag both. If Dog Tag, certainly, if she's ready off the bench, drawing the rail with Rispoli riding, Mandela training, that horse could get a perfect trip, right? You would think that horse is going to get a perfect trip, stalking on the rail off, not too far off a hot pace. So, that one definitely strong. And then another one you did mention, the 7-horse Ride for the Cause. I think that horse should be closing pretty well. The only thing I don't like about that horse is Mario Gutierrez is not a good turf rider and not a good turf rider on closers. But I think the horse fits nicely. I just would be more interested in that horse with a different rider.
Well, that's too bad about Mario being not good on closing turf horses, because I think I have him on one later on the card.
Well, that doesn't mean he can't win, but I mean, he's not one I would. I get it. I'm happy to see sitting on a horse like Ride for the Cause.
Yeah, I don't let the jockey I don't let the jockey change my opinion. I just don't feel as confident when it's a jockey that I don't like as much, and I feel much better with Mario when he's like in second, rating in second, too wide around the whole way. Then I'm not worried about him.
Yeah, especially on a dirt race. And but he should get a setup. I mean, Ride for the Cause is probably, I think it is. It's the strongest closer in the field. So if they do go fast, you would think you get a setup. If that horse had a better rider, that would definitely be my play. I still think it can win, and it's a pretty good price. It's 29 to 1 on the board. So certainly in the contest, I'd be willing to roll the dice if I needed a big price. So that horse is definitely has a possible chance of winning in here, I think.
Yeah, wow, 3 to 5 on Charmaine's Mia. That is just that's pretty crazy.
That's just making this a race you can't pass if you like something else. I mean, you're going to get a good price on any of the ones.
She's carrying top weight, so like that's she's not that much better than these. I mean, at least I don't think she is.
Yeah, you wouldn't think. I mean, she's had one lifetime start going 2 turns, and that was her last race, and she did win, but she kind of had a perfect trip. And like you said, she picks up a little weight. She certainly can win. She probably has as good a chance to win as anybody in here, but not that much better of a chance. Certainly at 3 to 5 or 1 to 2, this is the kind of horse you have to take a shot against, particularly in a contest like this. I mean, if you like one of those horses we talked about, you have to play him. This is kind of one you've got to take a shot.
Yeah, I think I would go. I mean, given the price right now and with 2 minutes to post, I would roll with Laura's Light. That's my play. I think that she might not get caught up in that crazy pace duel. Might not.
Yeah, and if you are someone like Brian Chenvert who has 2 entries, you could play Laura's Light on the engine and Ride for the Cause on the caboose, and hope either they go slow or they go really fast, and you kind of have both sides of that coin. If you had, you were in a position where you could play 2 horses, which he's about the only one really has 2 that are in contention right now. They're both big prices, so that would be an interesting way to approach this race if you were him. So we'll see. It'd be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of looking through the leaderboard, and Anthony Matera, I see him in 48th. I think he might have 2 entries in the top 50. Not sure, but
so
I
that would be another one where you could take 2 good swings, because he needs a pretty good price here. Maybe those are the 2 you play, and that way, if it's extremely slow or fast, you have the right horse probably. If not, you probably won't win.
Yeah, Evan Traumer has made an appearance in the top 50. He's in 49th. He had Rock Your World.
That's good.
He also had Joe Frazier at 10-1 earlier today.
That was your tout. That was a good pick, Scott.
Yeah, if you didn't watch our long shots to consider segment yesterday, you missed out on that. But we did give about 5 or 6 horses, so only one of them actually came in.
But Frazier did punch his way through at a pretty good price. I think he was double-digit odds, wasn't he?
He was 10-1.
Yeah. And definitely helped some of the players who had him in the contest. Yeah, there's a long time between races for some reason today in Santa Anita.
31 minutes between every race.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. So let's talk a little bit of strategy. Let's kind of play if you were game. You're Dan Wild. You got your lead has shrunk. You have 3 plays left. You got an $8 lead. Who are you playing if you're Dan right now, or are you playing the race at all?
That is a very good question. And, it depends on Dan's handicapping methodology, because I wouldn't have had Burbonic. So, right. So we're not going to have we're not going to make the same decisions anyway. I actually really like the 10th and the 11th as bettable races. I know that you think that the favorite is very strong in that race. And that's the 9 Pray for My Owner. I think it's actually a big opportunity race. So if I were him, I'd probably skip this race, and I'd defer to your opinion as a contest guru to save a play for the last race.
Yeah, I would definitely play this race and try to beat Charmaine's Mia. So, if depending on who he likes other than Charmaine's Mia,
so you would skip the 10th. You basically would skip the 10th.
Yeah, I would skip the next one. To me, this is one where you just have they're overbetting the favorites so much. You have to try to take advantage of that. There's just no way she's 3-5 in here, right? And you're getting inflated prices on no matter who you like in here. You're getting a better price than you should, and you're getting a pretty solid return. So to me, this is a race you have to play. I'll be shocked if there's a lot of no selections on this race. But we'll see. Maybe a lot of people really think Charmaine's Mia is the goods, and she really should be 3-5. Well, but that's not my opinion. I mean,
she's a lower price than Medina Spirit was in his last race.
Yeah, and he didn't get it done. So what about Ryan Leeper? Let's look at him. He's sitting in 2nd. He's just hit with Rock Your World. He has 3 picks. He is his chance to go into the lead. To me, I would do the same thing as if I were Dan Wild. I'd be playing one. The horse I like.
Here's the one conundrum about this race, and that is that it's so wide open. When if you take away Charmaine's Mia, like who's the obvious horse, right? There isn't an obvious one. That's the problem. You may be right about beating Charmaine's Mia, but it's finding the horse that's going to beat her. So that's why I might opt to skip this race.
But that's even better, because that not everybody else is going to be on your horse. The whole idea is you want to make up ground, or
right. But it's a question it's a question of confidence level. If you're like, well, it could be Dog Tag, it could be Tapwater, it could be Warren Showtime, it could be Laura's Light.
Well, yeah, if
it's
you have no
tough.
opinion, but if you have one that you like, or even you got it down to a couple, you pick one because you don't want to be on something everybody's on. They're opening the gates up, so we'll see what happens.
All right, and Dan Wild takes dog tag. The leader takes dog tag at 6-1. Ryan Leeper skipped the race. So did Brian Chenvert. And Elon Suler, I don't know if it's Suler or Chuler, he picked Warren Showtime. Nicholas McCurdy, the Otto is a Legend guy, picked Charmaine's Mia.
back to the chalk.
He's looking to move into fourth.
Yeah, I can't believe that Charmaine's Mia's got the lead in here without those two need the lead types just cede the lead. These jockeys will just drive you batty. They're going to let the favorite go on the front end, and you've got long shots that almost have to have the lead to win. Just makes no sense.
But we established that Laura's Light does not need the lead. So,
well, she's not going to finish it. She's not going to pass up Charmaine's Mia. Put it that way.
You don't think?
No.
I think
that's not her game, and she has to be in front and hold her off.
Well, she was 10 lengths behind a horse a few races ago, and she still won.
All right, let's see what happens here. They're battling. Here comes the 4 and the 1.
Here comes Warren Showtime.
Come on.
And here comes dog tag for the leader. Dog tag for the leader. Dog tag for the leader. All right, he gets some place money. So he does separate a little bit more. I don't know Dan Wild, but I'm just rooting for him just because he picked 6-1 there from the lead.
Yeah, and Nicholas McMurdy just moved up a little. If you look at the leaderboard, his play wasn't that crazy because it actually moves him up a spot, and as you're near the top 5, every spot's worth quite a bit of money. So that wasn't too bad, but certainly Dan Wild was the benefactor in that one, and he does pick up some points. He was a little unfortunate that none of the speed horses were willing to engage the favorite early. I think dog tag definitely would have won there. But that's what happens in the racing in 2021. Jockeys just are just very reluctant to engage. When a rider is aggressive, they just let him go, and that's what happened. The favorite got a perfect trip and won by a shrinking neck.
Won by a shrinking neck, and Nicholas McMurdy, assuming he can continue to at least hold the line, he just gained $5,000 in prize money, moving from 5th to 4th, and he'll only be like $1 or $2 behind 3rd place, which is another $10,000.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
He has 3 picks left.
Yeah, that's when you're in that top 5. That's why it gets interesting because how you play down the stretch. Are you trying to win, or are you happy to move up a spot or two? Because even second place at $80,000, that's a lot of money. And if you really like a horse that's not going to get you the win, but it could get you into second, you might go with that. And so that's why you have to kind of weigh all that into your decision making. And what is your objective and what's your opinion? You got to make the best decision based on that.
Well, my decision would have been to skip this race with only 3, and I would be happy doing that. But I respect your viewpoint of trying to beat that horse. But when you do only have 3 picks left out of 4 races, sometimes you got to make a decision.
That's right, and you just have to go with it. And certainly, once the race was off and you saw what the riders did, that the favorite probably was 3-5 halfway through the race. Unfortunately,
what's interesting is that somebody in 41st and 42nd also picked Charmaine's Mia. Now, maybe they just thought it was impossible for her to lose, but they're not going to move up that much. But they will move up 10 places.
Yeah. If it's compact on the leaderboard, you can move up quite a bit. That's what I'm saying. If you're just trying to cash, that may not be a crazy way to go because, everybody's so tight that you can move up quite a bit, even with $8 or $10. So that's what you're trying to do. If you're down there, are you trying to win? If so, you're going to be going for a big price in these last few races. But if you're happy just to get into the cashing spot or maybe move up a little bit, they might get chalky and do that and just hope that, a long shot doesn't win.
All right, let's see if it's official. It is official, and Dan Wild now has a $17 lead because the payoff was 480. 480. So he has a $17 lead over the second place person, Ryan Leeper. And Nicholas McCurdy does move into fourth, and he's only 20 cents behind Brian Chenvert. And now Brian Chenvert is going to have to ask himself, like, do I let this guy pick the favorite and pass me for $10,000? It's a really interesting strategic play in this scenario because we know that's probably what he's going to do. He's probably going to pick the favorite. He's going to take Pray for My Owner in this race. And on the other hand, there's not, that might be the favorite, but the horse has opened up as second choice in this race. So maybe Nicholas McMurdy plays with Brian Chenvert's head and chooses a longer shot because there isn't like an obvious 3-5 or 1-2 shot.
Yeah, they are definitely, and even, just behind them, there's so many people that are within a few dollars of those guys. I mean, there's separation between third and second first, but right now, if you don't hit the next race, somebody behind you is going to pass you up, and that probably somebody's going to, if Brian Chenvert and Nicholas McMurdy don't hit that race, somebody's going to leap ahead of both of them into third place because there's so many people behind them. One of them is bound to have the winner. That are just a few dollars behind. So, they've got to be, this is where it comes down to these last couple of races. You've got to either be to win, or at least to move up.
Okay, well, this is it's an exciting finish. I mean, we've got the top 10, aside from the two leaders, the top 10, the third through 10th place are within $10 of each other. So really anything can happen here.
Yeah.
And we do have a couple of open races.
Yeah, especially for that, that third place spot right now it's just a really compact leaderboard. And if somebody
that's
hits
worth $39,000.
Yeah. So I think there's like you said, a contest within a contest. Some of those players will probably be thrilled and satisfied with a third place finish. Some of those players are probably still thinking, I want to win it. And so they'll be on different horses here in these last few races because it becomes really tactical. This is where you have to play horses that are going to get you where you want to go. And that depends on where you want to go. And if somebody's happy with third place, if you're sitting down at $150 in 10th place and a 3-to-1 shot could vault you into third, you probably play that. But if you're trying to win it, that's probably not going to help you much because you're still $50 out of it and with just a couple picks left.
Yeah, what's really interesting here now is that Dan Wild, the leader, he only has 2 picks left, so he has to skip one of the next 3 races. The question is, which one of the races will he skip? The second, third, and fourth place have all 3 picks left. So it's going to be interesting to see which race Dan Wild decides to skip. I wonder if he'll skip the one that you suggested he skip, or that you suggested you would skip.
Yeah, I'm not. If he really likes them, I would skip it. But
right, of course.
But me, you said, well, which race would I skip? It's the second, but it depends. He might love a horse in here.
Right, and that that gets back to this this previous race that we just ran, like I wasn't sure. I went with Laura's Light because she was 15-1, but it was purely a price play. It wasn't because I thought she had a better chance than Dog Tag, for example.
Yeah, and she did have she didn't really have a chance with the trip she got, but going in, you didn't know what the rider intent was before the race, unfortunately. So now we move to the next race, which is kind of interesting as well.
Which is the race that you would skip, and I think this will be a good opportunity for us to queue up our interview with Ed DeRosa, who last I looked was in about 57th. So I didn't see what he played in that last race, but we'll queue up the interview with Ed DeRosa, who's a pretty well-known personality out there on Twitter, and he's also a spokesman. He does commentary for Churchill races, and we'll let that interview run, and we'll come back and we'll try to pick a long shot. We'll try to beat the favorite in the 10th race.
And we are here with Ed DeRosa, who finished 25th after the first day in the Players' Championship on Horse Tourneys. Congratulations, Ed, and how do you feel?
I feel good. I definitely wanted to have a score where I thought no matter what, it really didn't matter 10th, 25th, 40th. I wanted to be within a cap horse of the leader. I felt like that would be a position where you could just play your game on Saturday, and that's where I'm at. And we'll leaderboard watch as the day goes on, much more so than we did today. But felt good about my picks. A couple second-itis situations, but any contest player knows what that's like. But pleased to be where I'm at.
All right. Did you buy in, or did you win your way in through a feeder?
I won my way in, and I think I was the second qualifier, maybe. I won my way in on the Holy Bull Day. They had an all Gulfstream card that I did a feeder for and did really well.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So like you broke out of the gate with the Keeneland race, which I think it was the third race, which was maybe the first race of the day.
Yeah.
And
that was the first contest eligible race. And looking at the 30 races available today, I really struggled to see where the prices would come from. I thought there was a shot of maybe only one or two $20+ horses, and I think there ended up being four. But that baby race was one of them. And the reason I went with that horse, even though it wasn't my top pick, so to speak, is it had the rail, which is definitely something that seems to do really well, going 4.5, those baby races. I didn't like the Wesley Ward at all, so that's a great starting point when you're against the favorite. And the breeding was solid enough, and Joe Sharp, certainly a trainer I trust, to get him in at a price. So just was one of those where I wasn't sure how many $20 horses there'd be today, and I thought that could have been one of them.
All right. Well, I have one other question, and I'm gonna pass it over to Chris, who will always have good questions himself. The question is, we noticed that you had made all of your plays. We got onto the show, and there were about 8 races to go, and you only had 2 plays left. Is there any reason why you made all your plays early and didn't save too many for the end?
Yeah, I felt like the first day. I mean, if I had been a little closer to the cashing spots for the first day, I may have felt differently about how my strategy, because I had no room to maneuver by the end of the day. But I treated the day like I wanted the best score possible with my 15 bullets. And I thought the late pick 4s at both Golden Gate and Santa Anita looked extremely chalky. Like I had no value opinion. I had no thought that those could be chaotic, where you could take a shot at maybe getting a price. And it just, that was the way it worked out chronologically. It wasn't a matter of, want to, gun out there like Precious Passion and prove a point. It was just, I was comfortable with the races at Keeneland for sure. But gosh, I mean, Aqueduct, the pick 6 paid $75. I just felt like most of the opportunities were at Keeneland, and that meant firing a lot of bullets early.
Okay, Chris, you got any questions for Ed?
Well, you did look like Precious Passion out of the gate today, man. Right off the first call, you're right there, ding-donging it for the lead. So that must have felt good. It always feels good to get that first, score. You get off the snide, don't have that goose egg on the scoreboard. So that must feel good. What was kind of, or let's talk about tomorrow maybe more than since today you kind of summed it up. What's your strategy? And you only have to play 15 races. And so sort of what are you thinking about, because race selection is a big part of this contest, unlike some where it's all mandatory. I think it makes it more fun. I think it makes it more challenging. What's your approach to race selection going into tomorrow?
Yeah, I definitely like the format. And one thing I sort of knew already from my limited contest experience, but really saw it today in looking at the types of horses people picked and when they picked them. I'm definitely looking for races where there's A, an opposable favorite, and B, multiple horses that can cash at a price. And that may seem counterintuitive. It is gambling after all. But I noticed in the races where there was sort of that obvious alternative, and if that alternative happened to be 6, 8, 10 to 1, it didn't play like that in the contest. There was one horse who did pay one of the 12 to 1 horses plus. I think 64 people had it. That's 20% of the field almost. So here you have this 10, 11, 12 to 1 horse that plays basically like a 4 or 5 to 1 in the contest. And it's great if you have it. I'm not saying I wouldn't like to have it, but I'm looking in my mind for races where, there's alternatives to a 10, 12, 14 cap horse possibility. And I want to be the guy that is one of 10 or 15 that has it, not one of 50 or 60.
That's a really good point. I mean, value in a contest is different than value on the tote. And
for sure,
how you can separate yourself from the field is what it's all about. And trying to zig when others zag really makes a lot of sense. So is there you have quite a few races between all three of the tracks. I think it's Keeneland, Aqueduct, and Santa Anita. Are you focused on any one track, or are you pretty much any track player just looking for the race, or are you going to save some picks for the end of the day? I mean, do you have any other kind of strategy you're going to apply to the race selection?
I think I know Keeneland best, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's a similar situation, where I definitely am willing to fire some bullets at Keeneland, whereas others are holding. Optimistically, I would like to be playing a little poker late, and that requires some bullets. I don't want to be watching and just hoping people who pick horses don't win. I want to be proactive and have a bullet or two to either block or try to take the lead. If I'm being honest, shooting pie in the sky. But I'm also not going to think, I need 4 bullets left for the final 8 races or any sort of like strict ratio. If I like a horse who I think can score 30, 40, 50, even a cap horse, I'm certainly gonna fire that bullet. So as always, you just got to be agile and adapt as the day goes on. But I would say I'm not looking to have 0 bullets to fire with 4 races left, which was the case today.
Is there a certain price range you're looking for, or do you play it by ears, or like you won't take below a certain level, or you're always trying to shoot in a certain range, or are you pretty flexible in that regard?
I would say more flexible than I probably should be, just based on some of the math. I've seen guys like Tony Cho and serious NHC players, some of the topics they've discussed. So I'm going to be keeping that in mind tomorrow for sure. Again, I kind of thought if I was within a cap horse of a leader, I was in the game going into day 2, and that is the case. So I'm definitely approaching tomorrow with the mindset of I want to find 2 or 3 horses who are going to be 20 to 1 or higher that I'm excited to play.
Have you had a chance to look? You got anything picked out? I don't want to hear what they are. I don't want you to get away, but I'm just curious if you're licking your chops right now, or you still haven't sat down and looked at the cards. Or
Yeah, well, I've looked at Keeneland. That's part of the day job, and my picks are up. So I am glad that Keeneland ends before Santa Anita, because that obviously would be a huge edge for anyone paying attention to know who I like late in Keeneland, and it still is, I guess, to a lesser extent. But thankfully, the last 3 races at Keeneland, I think are very straightforward. And, maybe if you get to the point in the bluegrass where you have to stab, there's some options, but I'm pretty comfortable saying those 3 races at Keeneland that close the card aren't 3 that I think are going to win the tournament for me.
Well, there are 5 races after the last race at Keeneland, so I don't think you really need to take a stab at Keeneland unless you just hate Santa Anita.
Right. No, and I have not looked at Santa Anita yet, so that is obviously a big missing piece of the perspective of what I'm thinking I might do at Keeneland. But I definitely have 2 horses at Keeneland in mind that I think would be worth at least 30 points each. So that's still 13 others I got to find. But part of the way I handicap, and you guys have probably seen me, I mean, I'm at Mahoning Valley on Monday. I'm going to play Fawner with the database. I mean, that's just part of the fun for me is I'm able to load up a card and kind of get a feel for a track, whereas, pen and paper handicappers might not have that luxury. So I'm comfortable jumping into Santa Anita tomorrow. But certainly I think Keeneland is, if I have any sort of edge over the competition, it's going to come there.
So, Ed, I have a question for you. During the day, either today or tomorrow, are you glued to the screen and sort of playing it race by race as far as this contest goes, or are you just putting in all your picks and just letting it ride?
No, I'm glued. I will say today I sort of blocked it off a little bit. Because I just hadn't played in this type of setting before and didn't want to get myself in a situation where I missed a pick that I knew I liked. So that was a little part of it. But B, again, I just kind of felt like the day was really compartmentalized into some plays I liked at Keeneland. Aqueduct looked really chalky. The back half of Santa Anita and Golden Gate did as well. So I kind of went 5 races at a time. But then throughout the day, I did adapt. And, I noticed one horse I thought might be 5 or 6 to 1. I think it was at Golden Gate, ended up 2 to 1. So I didn't make that play. It was too short. So definitely willing to adapt. But I would say tomorrow it's definitely going to be race to race.
And we're back at the Players Championship show. We're coming up on the 10th race at Santa Anita. Chris, where did you land here, assuming that you would have to play this race? Let's say you have a pick. Who are you playing in this race?
Well, probably if I'm, in the first or second, where they're battling for the title, I would go with, and I'm playing this race, I would go with the 9. I think the 9's pretty solid in here. 3 to 1. I'm surprised that it held up at 3 to 1. I thought it would get bet more than that. I think it looks like Lone Speed. So to me, that's the horse to beat, and most likely winner, probably significantly above the others. So that's what I'd go for in that spot. If I were, not in the top 2 spots, kind of the horse at a price that I like some is the 3-horse Fifi Pharaoh, who is making its second start, and based on its debut, it looked like it might improve quite a bit off of that race. And it needs to win, but I think it could. I kind of like the aggressive placement here in a stakes race. So to me, the 3-horse would be the one, if I needed more of a price, I would go with.
Well, there's a couple of horses that I'm interested in this race. I think that it's pretty wide open. I'm not as afraid of the 9. The horse that I sort of landed on is the price play, and that's the horse I would play no matter where I am in the standings, I think. And that would be the 6, Dylan's Wildcat. Ran a very good race in November at Del Mar at 7 furlongs, and this is 6.5 furlongs. Reacted then, after he ran that good race, which he lost by a head at 7 furlongs. Then he went 2 turns, and he reacted, and then he went 2 turns on the turf. Now he's had plenty of time since that big race at Del Mar, and he's currently 7 to 1 and projected to be 10 to 1.
Yeah, and he's cutting back in distance, which, isn't usually a positive, especially at 6.5 furlongs. So, that, definitely that horse has definitely has a good chance. I wouldn't talk you out of that one.
I'm not sure what the numbers are at Santa Anita for 7 furlongs, but I think the speed is, it's a little less dangerous at 7 furlongs than it would be at 6 furlongs.
Yeah, well, this is 6.5, so you're splitting the difference here.
Right. I'm stuck on that Del Mar race. I just love that his best number, his very best performance, best number came at 7 furlongs. If he can do it at 7 furlongs, he can do it at 6.5.
Yeah, to me, I definitely that horse is playable. The other horse I kind of had some interest in was the Maybe I Will, who's making his first dirt start. And to me, the horse has looked really good. It's won pretty strong races. I mean, it's finished very strong in its synth races, and its breeding doesn't say it couldn't handle dirt. So, to me, that horse is the one that might jump up in here, because a lot of times when we talked about the poly pop, when they go first time synth to dirt, you can see some dramatic improvement, especially with horses that are kind of dirt bred. And, to me, this horse fits that pretty nicely, and it's 11-1. So
that would be my other choice. That would be my choice if I didn't like Dylan better. That horse, Maybe I Will, did have his best workout since that last race, and I don't see why he can't just keep on improving. Yeah,
and you might really take to the turf, right? So, I mean, to the dirt from the synth. So that to me, I'm always looking for a horse that might show some dramatic improvement. And this horse that really hasn't done anything wrong in its career, and it's trying dirt, and it may really relish it. Will Take Charge certainly was pretty good on the dirt.
Maybe he will.
Yes, and Henny Hughes was a brilliantly fast sprinter on dirt. So, both sides, top and bottom, there's no reason why he couldn't take to the dirt.
All right, so now let's take a look at the leaderboard. Dan Wild has the lead by $17. I definitely would love to be in that position. $17 ahead. He only has 2 picks left, and so the question is, will he use one of those picks in this race? I think we can probably fairly say that most of these players are going to save a pick for the 11th race, because that's a wide open.
I think it's safe to say they're going to save a pick for the last race. So I do think there might be quite a few people that pass this race and save one for that wide open 11th and save one for the last race. That's kind of what I think most of the players that have, 2 selections remaining, that's what they would do. Yeah,
I mean, that makes sense. If I only had 2, I might skip the last race, but I don't know. I'm not, it would be, I would try, so I didn't have to make that decision. I would try to save 3 picks for these last 3 races.
And most people did what you said. If you look at the top of the leaderboard, just about everybody has, and there's a few that have a different number, but most of them, have 3 left. So they've got a pick in every race. So they don't have to worry.
7 of the top 11 have 3 picks left.
Yeah. So they don't have to worry about race selection anymore. Now they just have to focus on the pick. So let's say you're saying I would probably pass on this race if I were Dan Wild and the lead. What would you do?
I would play this race because I don't think that 9 is necessarily a lock. So I think there's opportunity in this race. So I would be playing this race. If I had only 2 plays left, I would be playing this race. I would skip the last race. That's what I would do.
And who would you play?
I would play Dylan's Wildcat.
Dylan's Wildcat.
That's who I would play.
All right. So now we don't have to worry. The rest of the ones near the top, most of them have 3. So if you're like Ryan Leeper or Nicholas McMurdy or Brian Shenver, you're going to play this race. Who would you be on there? You need to make up. Ryan Leeper's pretty close. The others need to make up a pretty good chunk of ground. So for Ryan Leeper, who would you be on?
For me, just Dylan's Wildcat is the most interesting horse at a price here. I think he'll actually go off higher than that 8-1 before, by after the gates open. And that's who I would play no matter where I was, just because, he could get second and that could earn some money. And like you said, like if it's a favorite like Becca Taylor, the 5, maybe you don't get hurt. Now the
you
real
like that
interesting
horse quite a bit, that 6. Sounds like you really, really like Dylan's Wildcat. They're going into the gate right now. So.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see who Nicholas McMurdy picks and who Brian Chenvert picks, because he knows that Nicholas McMurdy.
They're off now, so we'll find out here shortly.
All right, I have to give it a few seconds, and Dan Wild picks I'm So Anna in this race. Ryan Leeper goes with Pray for My Owner.
That was who I said should have picked. Yeah, he went with the one I thought that was the right pick for him, I think.
And Nicholas McMurdy picks Dylan's Wildcat.
And Brian Chenvert picked Maybe I Will. So, Fifi Farrow.
It's all prices, and nobody near the top picked the favorite. Okay,
who's in a pretty good stocking spot right now. Looks like it could chalk out again. The 5 looks pretty strong. The 9 did get the lead, though. We'll see if it can hang on.
Well, the 6 doesn't look like he's moving like a winner.
No, right now the 9's looking like the winner. Maybe someone comes late, but right now, Fifi Farrell's making a run, but I think got a little too much ground to make up. So it's going to chalk out, and nobody had the chalk, but someone did have the 3.
Ian Schuler had the 3, Fifi Farrow. It's not going to pay that much because Becca Taylor was 3-2. I'm a little bit shocked that Nicholas McMurdy did not land on that horse.
There's a chance Ian Cuellar, I think is how you pronounce that, but I could be wrong. He could jump into 3rd place if he gets enough. At 10-1, I think he's going to get enough out of that to actually jump up to 3rd, which is a big leap. 3rd place is worth $40,000, and right now he was in 5th, which was worth $24,000. So that was a $25,000 leap. Now he hasn't locked it in yet, but that's now he's, like we were saying, anybody who hits this race was going to move into that 3rd spot. Anybody in that lineup.
Let's scroll down the leaderboard and see if anybody else had it. Justin Wunderler is happy because he was in 25th, and now he's gonna move up several spaces, and he's got a good chance to get into the top 28.
Rob Henny probably got himself into the above the cash line as well with the 3.
Yep. At least he's in the cash line for now, and yeah, he's got 2 entries right there, 31st and 32nd. He went with Dylan's Wildcat and Fifi Farrow. Let's see if anybody else is making a move. Anthony Matera had Fifi Farrow, and Edward Reedy and Evan Traumer had Fifi Farrow. So did anybody in the top 50? Raymond Riley picked the favorite, Becca Taylor. And he's got to feel pretty good about that, winning by 5 lengths or so.
Yeah, I would think so. To me, it was real. I think the players made pretty good plays. I mean, you're not always going to pick the winner, but it from a tactic standpoint, they were making some pretty smart plays. And Ian Cuellar, the guys near the top, was the one who got the right result. Not quite as good as he'd like, probably, but still a good result in that he's going to gain probably $8 or $9 on his score on everybody that's within striking range. That's a pretty nice move, and it puts him into 3rd place. So he was the big winner of that race. with
So we're
only
just
2
waiting for it
left.
to be official. It is official now, so we'll try to reload the leaderboard, but sometimes it takes a few minutes from the time they say it's official before the price.
Yep,
And
Ian's moved up.
And Ian Cuellar, that sounds feasible to me. Cuellar moves into third with $161. So he's $1.40 ahead of Brian Chenver for fourth. So
They're tight. That third place has been a battle, and there's 2 races to go.
yeah, and now he only has 1 play left, and so does Dan Wild now. So you think Dan Wild? Do you think he's going to skip this wide open turf race?
Wow. Yeah, I think he will. I'm surprised he played that last race. But he must have really liked I'm So Anna. I'm not sure why he liked it. That was one of the horses I tossed, but he must have seen something there.
She got third.
Oh, there you go. She ran better than I thought. Yeah, given he's in the lead, I would just love to be able to block people with that last play. If I were him, I would save it and just hope that it chalks out in the next one. Unless there's something he really likes, it kind of depends on his opinion. But unless there's something he really likes, I'd be saving it. Now Ryan Leeper's in a good spot because he knows he's gonna be able to make up ground. He can't get blocked in both these last 2 races because Diane Wild only has 1 pick. So, right. He's in pretty good shape. And he can just play the horses he likes, and if he hits one, he could win the contest in the $200,000. The guy who's in kind of a tricky spot, is like Ian Cuellar, who, do you want to try to get up into second or first where the big money is, or do you want to kind of just hit? Are you willing to settle for a lower price and just hold on to the third? I mean, same with the people just below him. Do they want to just get past Ian Cuellar and double their money? Or do they want to go for it all, and try for the 80,000 or 200,000? That's kind of a dilemma.
It's interesting because Ian Cuellar, he really did give himself the best chance in that last race with the 10-1. He didn't win, but he still got place money, right, and that moved him into third. So his strategy should probably just be to continue doing what he's doing.
Yeah, I definitely that was the horse I said I'd play if I was in that position. So I totally agree. But that was because that was my opinion. That was the live price horse. You're right.
I'm scooting through his picks to see what he did today, and he went with prices. He did it. I'll do it for you. He had Joe Frazier. It doesn't look like he picked really any favorites. I don't see any favorites here.
So, in that vein, if he'll probably be going for some mid-price, or there's probably some horse at mid-price kind of horse or long shot that he likes in this next race, because it's probably one of the most likely to produce a big price race, in the sequence that we'll be covering on the live stream. So, this is one where the leaderboard could change dramatically after this race. It may not, but there's that potential for sure in here.
There is, and I think that for that reason, we need to let's go over these horse by horse. Well, first, let's look at the general pace scenario of this race. Are you familiar with the pace scenario of this race?
Yeah, but I mean, I thought the last one there would be a pressured pace on the turf, and there wasn't. But I would think that there is one horse that could clear, but again, you never know. But my guess, and this is a guess because anticipating what jockeys will do and nowadays is hard. Jessica Pfeiffer on the 12. She's a bug rider, gets the weight off, and she has a speed horse on an outside post. So it'll just boggle my mind if they don't send that horse. And that's the quickest horse. And if it gets the lead, they might not go that fast. There's one other speed horse. It just kind of depends, like we've seen. You don't know if the riders, if they know another horse is going to go, they're reluctant to engage. So the 12 horse could get out there and set a comfortable lead or not. But so it kind of depends on what Tyler Bays does on the 9. He's really the other speed horse. So, if almost with certainty, I would think they're going to send the 12, and it kind of depends on what Tyler Bays does on the 9. If he does kind of the standard 2021 rider, I don't want to go with that horse they're sending from the outside, then it may not be that hot of a pace. But if he does say, well, my horse needs to get the lead to do its best running, then it could end up being a hot pace. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, I mean, the time form US projects it to be a fast pace. I would suspect that there's going to be a pretty solid pace here. Just looking at these running lines, a lot of these horses, they like to be kind of near the lead, not necessarily right on it, but a fair amount of them like to be near the lead. So, and Nice Ice has won his last 2 races strictly on the lead. So yeah. I say there's a probably pretty good chance that they're going to duel a little bit. I mean, at least it should be a pretty solid pace, I would think.
20 years ago, I'd agree with you. Now I'm not so sure. I mean, one thing, the pace projector on Timeform US, anytime there's 12 horses, it's almost always a hot pace. So they do that for a reason, because the more horses, the more likely that there will be a hot pace. But I mean, that's almost a given. It's going to say it's a hot pace, and it could be. Like I said, I think it all depends on what Tyler Bays does, and that's the key to the pace side of the equation. But
so let's say that Jessica Pfeiffer gets the lead and it's not a scintillating pace. You think she wins with Quiet Secretary?
I don't know if she wins, but I think then she has a chance.
I think she has a great chance with that 115 and the weight.
Yeah, that's what I mean. With the weight off, if she's hooked in a speed duel with Tyler Bays on the 9, she's not going to win. But if he's reluctant to go with her, and they let her clear, and she gets over on the rail and sets a reasonable pace, yeah, she could pull the upset. No reason why she couldn't. That doesn't mean she will. That's a big if, because you never know. There might be some other horse they decide to send in here, like you said. That's part of why the pace projector projects a hot pace when there's 12 horses, because all it takes is one rider, especially in a turf race. Any of them could go to the lead if they want to, because turf races typically they're not sending out of the gate. That's why I think that the 12 is very likely to clear, because I think they will send that horse. You don't put an apprentice on a speed horse drawn on the outside post and tell her to rate the horse on the turf. It's just probably not instruction. Now, it could break poorly or something, but I think the game plan will be go right to the front.
Well, it's interesting because I wrote down, when I handicapped this race, I thought it's very wide open, but I chose Apple Cross as the most likely winner of the race. And I thought at 5-1 morning line, that was pretty good.
Yeah, you're not getting that now.
3-2 and projected to be 2-1. So clearly I am not playing that horse in any scenario here. The question is, what horse do we play? And the horse that I think a lot of them have a shot, but I'm just going to point out this horse because it's so insane. The horse that I think has a really, really good shot is the 7 Cover Version, who's currently 45-1. My only worry is that 45-1 is it indicates that like she stepped on a nail today or something.
Well, I don't know about that. It's one point I will make. The other favorite, Nice Ice, who was the morning line favorite, I don't like that horse at all, because it is kind of a need the lead type, and I don't see it getting the lead from the 12. So I'm kind of against the 9, which might be why Applecross, I'm not the only one thinking that. It's probably why Applecross is getting bet the way he is. But I kind of agree with you that, after that, you probably want horses that are going to come from out of it a bit. Probably not too much, because these aren't the kind of horses that close like Zenyatta in the stretch. So to me, there's other horses in here, like you said, that cover version might be able to pull it off, but there's quite a few others that seem like they would have a chance in here at a pretty good price.
Yeah, and now the more I think about it, the more I would like, if I'm in the top 10 right now, I'm choosing a horse like cover version, because as we saw in the FloCal face-off, in another one of these wide open turf races, it's so possible for a capper to come in. I want to protect myself against that capper, right? I don't want like 5 people passing me. So in a way, not using Apple Cross as the most likely winner, it sort of protects you, because you don't have to, even if you think he's going to win and he does win, you're probably not going to be passed by too many people.
Yeah, and we've talked about it. The place money can be big on these long shots, even if they don't win, right? You can get 10 or 20 points on, especially a horse at that price. You're going to get 20 points, $20. That's worth a lot. It's just, that's there's nothing to sneeze at there if you can get second.
Yeah, the only thing that worries me is that that astronomical price. However, I would like to point out a few things about that horse. Well, let's see. Well, a couple things about this trainer this horse has always been relatively, okay. And I think he claimed the horse. I mean, it looks like he claimed the horse. So he's had the horse for 3 races so far. He won in the second time he ran the horse at 26-1. And then like 2 weeks later, he ran a clunker sprinting. Now here's some eye-opening numbers for our viewers to consider. This trainer is hitting at a 235 ROI in the last 90 days. He's hitting at a 275 ROI on turf lifetime, and sprint to route. He's got a $8.75 ROI lifetime sprint to route. So this is what this guy does, and this horse is going sprint to route on the turf. That's what he does, and the horse isn't much slower than the rest of these horses. And a closer, it's presuming that there's going to be a bit of a pace.
Yeah, I think you make a good case for that horse. It's live. I mean, and I think you can make a similar case for 3 or 4 others in here, depending on, what you like, what kind of horses you like to play. This to me is a good race, and most people are going to be playing this. I think most of them have to, because they got to play in every race. But certainly, there's some live horses in here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the chances of Alan Levitt choosing this horse in this race are very high. Let's find out where he is in the standings.
Well, while you're talking, I'll just throw out, another bomb that could win in here, is not impossible, is the 5-horse Arctic Roll, who is kind of cutting back in distance, and it won 2 races back, and it's like 50-1 in here. So, why couldn't that horse win this race?
Yeah. I mean, I know you love second off layoff, and he's second off a layoff, and he has a race that if he runs his best race, he can win this race.
Yeah, the problem is the trainer's never won a race, I don't think, which is probably why it's 50-1. But I mean, the horse is pretty good, and it has had 1 race under its belt, and it cuts back in distance. So, maybe
now that trainer, I don't know who that trainer is, but it might be like some assistant. I think he's only raced 11 times. He's only raced 11 entries. Yeah,
I don't know anything about him. I don't think it's an assistant for anybody that I know of, but possibly. But anyway, I mean, that horse is not impossible. The trainer would be hard to get behind, but at 50-1, if you need I'm sure there'll be people playing that in the contest that if they need a cap horse, because it has races that can win. I mean, it certainly could win in here. It's not impossible.
Absolutely. So Alan Levitt, he didn't have a good day yesterday, but he did hit with I think it was 85-1 asset, or some of the numbers were so huge, but that horse that paid 22 just to place, he had that horse, and then today he had Burbonic, and he's been going with bombs. That's what he does. He's got one pick left, and I'd say there's a 90% chance that pick is going to be in this race. And he might not win it. I don't think he can win it with only one. It's impossible for him to win this race with only one selection left. If he gets a capper, then that would get him $156. So, but that would really put him in a good position to win the Tourney Triple points contest. That would put him probably, having a sort of a top 10, top 20 finish plus a winner finish. He'd probably have the lead going into the last leg of the Tourney Triple.
Yeah, well, I mean, he might even want to think about moving up that way and not necessarily going for a total cap horse. If there's some horse he really likes at 8 or 10-1, that could move him quite a bit up the standings, and that might be the difference between winning that bonus and not, when it's all said and done.
Yeah, although I think after our conversations with Alan, I've been texting him since we interviewed him, and like when he I think I've asked him when I've had some play, seen him make plays. He's basically switching from a horse that like he thought was going to be a capper that goes off at 10-1. He switches to like the capper. So like that's his.
So
game.
he's basic. Well, yeah, or you're just throwing darts because you're way down the leaderboard.
Well, he's throwing pretty good darts.
Yeah, well, you get lucky.
No. That's what he does. I mean, he does it. He does it early in the game too.
Yeah, but it's certainly when you're behind, that's a strategy that a lot of people will take when they're well down right now. They're looking at cappers only and picking which one they like the best. And
well,
sometimes
absolutely, which is why probably a lot of people will have cover version, and that's one of the reasons why I want to protect myself. With all those numbers that guy has, that's the horse that I just think the horse can keep improving, because he went from Jack Cassidy to Reed Saldana, and nothing against Jack Cassidy, but he was only hitting at 7%, and Reed Saldana's hitting at 14%. He connects more often, and his specialty is exactly what this horse is doing today: sprinter out on the turf.
Well, we'll see. Maybe that horse will come home and you'll look like a genius, and there'll be some very happy players in the contest, because I'm sure some people, there's going to be people on any cap horse, a pretty good number of them. I don't know how many of them that are well up the leaderboard will be on them, but probably a few. So this is a kind of race that could really turn the leaderboard upside down.
Well, there are three cap horses. Let's analyze the three of them. We already analyzed Arctic Roll, and we analyzed cover version. We think that they both have some sort of a shot. Absolutely. What about All Quality?
Well, it's Peter Miller, so it has a shot. I think it tends to run its best races sprinting rather than routing, so I don't like it a whole lot. Of the three, he's probably the one I like the least, but I wouldn't say it's impossible.
Does get a bug rider, so carrying only 115. I will note that the jockey is only 2 for 107 on turf in the last year, so not her specialty.
Yeah, I think you're putting that kindly. So of the three cap horses, that's the one I would be the least interested in. But and probably for me, you make a good case for cover version. Arctic Roll, I think, is actually a better horse, but the trainer is the big question mark there. That's why you're getting the big price. The horse has run some races that definitely could win in here. So it'd be probably one of those two that you see a lot of people on, will be my guess.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because that all quality, was 5-2 in her last race. It's an astronomical price on this horse.
Yeah, but that was sprinting. This horse is definitely better sprinting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big difference. That's why I don't like her or like him. Is it him or her? It's a her.
It's a her.
Because
at least it is now.
She doesn't have any good route races, and a sprinter stretching out, chasing a hot, I'm guessing the 12 to go. I just don't see any race. I can't envision a race where this horse could win, or even run well. I just don't see it. It's not going to be on the lead. It's not going to be closing. It's not going to be passing a bunch of horses late in a route race. So I don't see how it wins. But that's why it's a big price. I mean, it's easy to pick almost in the 30-1 shots. But of the 30-1 shots, this would be the last one I would play. Now, there are, people aren't necessarily just going for the bombs, though. There are the mid-price horses, and there's some in here that you could, certainly make a case for several others in here, like the 1 and the 2, both. There's no reason why they couldn't win this race, and they've got good posts and good riders.
Let's tackle every horse. I mean, the 1, I think I wrote side. I mean, it's run solid races since it started as a 3-year-old, and just ran a little better than it's ever run. I think she's got some upside. The one thing I will note is that DRF gave it a C+ workout report, and that doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, change your bet. But that's generally a negative if it's a horse you're looking to that needs to improve, which I think it does need to improve to win this race. You don't really want to see a C+ workout report. You'd rather see a B+ on that, a horse that needs to improve.
Well, I'm looking at it on the track right now. It looks pretty good. It's a Glen Hills Farms horse, I can tell from the silks. It looks good in the warm-up. And gets the rail. Cedillo's a pretty good rider, but he's definitely better on the dirt than the turf. But that horse, no reason why it couldn't win. It looks good on paper to me. So,
and it looks good on track.
Yeah, looks good on the track. It's double-digit odds. So, yeah, that's certainly a horse you could play in the contest.
All right, Almost a Factor comes off a win, and a pretty solid win, going 1 1/8 miles. I wonder, because that was her best race, I wonder, is there a reason why she's cutting back to 1 mile?
Well, probably a lot of it has to do with, what's in the condition book that you can run in. They don't run that many allowance races on the turf so my guess is there wasn't anything in the book, and the horse is doing good and they want to run,
Okay. So that's guess. A viable contender.
Yeah, for sure.
What about the 3, Cassie Bell?
She's not impossible either. To me, this is another one that I don't think the race is going to fit. It's not a kind that's going to close, and I think it's going to be chasing faster horses up front. So I just don't see this horse winning. Just from a race shape standpoint, I'd rather have the 1 or the 2 coming from a little farther out of it. For me, that's my taste. But the horse is 8-1, and so clearly the crowd thinks it has a chance.
All right, and we think that Lavender and Noble Hearted, the 10 and the 11, I think they could win. I don't see any reason why they couldn't. I don't know if I like them. That those aren't great posts for them. They're actually they're in the 9 and 10 hole because there's a scratch. And the 4 scratched, but still the 9 and 10 hole, going 1 mile, not ideal.
Yeah, but they have the 2 best riders on the grounds. That kind of can neutralize that, a bit. So, that's why I agree. That's a tough post, but those are the riders that might be able to overcome that, right? I don't like them from a value standpoint because, you're getting like half the odds on the horses, the 1 and the 2, which I think aren't just about as good and more likely to get a good trip from that inside post. But, the rider, Pratt and Rispoli, are capable of working a trip from that post.
All right. Well, they are about to load into the gates. And
yeah, let's see.
It's going to be really interesting to see who picked what.
Yeah, and to see what Tyler Bays does on nice ice, and if Quiet Sensation gets
Quiet Secretary,
Secretary gets the lead or gets challenged, because that could make a big difference in this race. The way the pace unfolds kind of depends on what those riders do.
All right, who do we think Nicholas McMurdy is going to have? I think he's going to be on Applecross.
Probably, you would think that's who will be on. But remember, he double-crossed us once, so maybe he kind of goes long shot, chalk, long shot, chalk.
He's playing with our heads.
Yes, I'm not going to make any prediction with him. He's fooled us. He's not a one-trick pony.
Well, looks like they're all in there.
Yep.
And they're off. And the 11 or the 12, one of those horses looked like they stumbled.
It did stumble a bit, but she's taking him right to the lead.
Okay, Dan Wild takes Lavender and skips the last race. Ryan Leeper takes the 3, Cassie Bell, Elon Cuellar, All Quality. Oh, the one that you don't think can win. And Douglas Shank takes All Quality. But a lot of Cassie Bell love here. Quiet Secretary, Salvador Simone. Very interesting. A lot of different action here. Even Nicholas McMurdy chose Cassie Bell, and his upside is limited because two players ahead of him picked the horse. All right. Well, it looks like Quiet Secretary did get a clean lead without being hassled by the nice
took a little bit of a hold like these riders do nowadays. So that means that the Quiet Secretary could be dangerous on the lead here.
11-1.
A 3-horse. That's the Cassie Bell. I said I didn't see a race where she could win. Well, this is the one shape where she tracks the 12 and then runs her down late.
Yeah, that 12 going 110. I don't know if she's going to be able to hang on after that.
She's still digging. She's finding more. Remember, the weight off makes a big difference.
She's got carrying 7 pounds less weight.
Yes, she's gone.
And 11-1 wins it, and Cassie Bell. So this shakes everything up because Ryan Leeper probably takes the lead. Ryan Leeper will likely take the lead because he's going to get. No, he's 17 behind. I was thinking he was only 7 behind. He's 17 behind. So,
but that was a big move for him though, because at least now he doesn't have to really. There might not be any horse off the board for him going in that last race. If he picks up, say 8 or 10 points with a long shot winning, he could be above 190, and then there's no horse that protects Dan Wild in that position. So it'll be really interesting tactically. But I have to take some credit. I did call that race, Scott, in terms of Quiet Secretary. I'm learning my lesson. If a horse is going to go and all the riders are afraid to challenge, you got to play that horse, especially if it's 11-1.
Yeah, well, you get credit for not practicing what you preached.
And the other thing that people really, I think, underestimate is weight. And this is an example where that horse had a little extra at the end because it's carrying 10 pounds less than everybody else.
Hey. Yeah, I am that. But Anthony Matera makes a big move by picking Quiet Secretary. He was in 32nd place.
Well, what about Salvatore Simone? He's at 151.
Yeah, I know. He's in great shape too, but I'm just saying that,
Anthony.
I already mentioned Salvatore Simeone.
Yeah, right. So, Anthony,
And Ken Seaman also smashes into the leaderboard by also picking Quiet Secretary. And let's see what Ken had today, because he wasn't a factor yesterday. Let's see what kind of action he had. He had Burbonic and Quiet Secretary. That's pretty much his two plays. He had Soft Wardata yesterday, so he was kind of lurking.
Yeah, it's going to be tight. It'll be interesting to see what the final prices are, but there's going to be 2 or 3 people that are within a short-priced horse of the lead going into this last race. So it's going to be pretty exciting. $200,000 on the line, and they're going to, it's going to be close. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people with a good chance that they don't have to throw darts.
Nicholas McMurdy, he picked Cassie Bell, and that was a pretty good play for him. That's probably going to pay more than most of his picks all day. A lot of people had that horse.
Yeah, well, it was definitely one. If from a pace standpoint, you could see a scenario that played out where that horse would get an easy lead. The other riders would back off, and then that extra weight off would pay dividends down the stretch. Applecross got in for third, almost a factor. One of the ones we talked about, fourth, and good on paper, fifth. So from a contender standpoint, we kind of had that one nailed. I did not see what happened to All Quality. I think part of it was just he was probably cover vision, probably a little pace compromise. But Mario Gutierrez is not the best rider if you have to work a trip out from behind.
Yeah, well, there's a reason why the horse was 50-1.
Okay, I thought you made a good case for him, though. I mean,
all right. Well, we have a refreshed leaderboard, so let's talk about what's happening here. Ryan Leeper is now $8 behind the leader, and he has one play left. Salvatore Simeone has jumped into third, but he has no more plays.
Plays left.
But that was the right play, right? You would, you would have skipped that race.
All he could do. He did all he could do. Now he's going to make some money. He just has to hope he doesn't get passed by too many people in the last race. But that was a great play by Salvatore. He should be proud of himself. That was a good finish, and he played it the right way. But look at that. You've got Brian Schenvert with 168 and Nicholas McMurdy. They're definitely within striking range. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people that are within striking range. And the thing about this last race, the fact that there is such a heavy favorite means you're going to have some prices if you can beat that favorite, right? Yes. So there's going to be quite a few horses that are going to be long enough for these people to play with a chance to win. The people in the top 10 or so all have a shot.
So Anthony Matera moves into 8th, and he is probably doing best. He is doing best of the people that were like in the top 4 on the in the FloCal face-off. He's now in 8th place here. So third awesome. There and 8th here. There's a really good chance that he's going to be the leader in the Tourney Triple points race.
Yeah, he's going to have to really think about how he plays that last contest because, he should have a big lead, I would think, with 2 great finishes in both contests. That's awesome.
Yeah, it'll be. I want to go look and see. I'll do it privately. I won't do it on the feed, but I'm just going to take a look at like where Alan Levitt, who he picked. Just out of interest. Whoever he picked, it didn't work, but he picked All Quality, the horse that you said couldn't win, which, he didn't look that great. You're right. I mean, he didn't look like one of the ones. But none of the long shots connected this time, but it was still an 11-1 winner. So,
yeah.
It's not
Well, certainly that's a long shot. 11-1 is a pretty good price. Just not a cap horse, right?
Yeah. But when you're at more than 65% 4 behind the leader, you have to go with the capper, the second to last race.
Yeah, although unless you're Allen and you're thinking about that, the overall points thing, 11 to 1 shot could have moved him 40 spots up the board. But he's not going to catch Anthony. But that's he's about the only person that might be thinking about that as well.
Let's see if we have any new names in the leaderboard that had quiet secretary. James Michelson, former NHC champ. That's Jamie Michelson. He moves into 18th. And James, a lot of names I don't recognize. I don't know if they're very... Robert Traynor, BC winner, moves into 37th, and he's got one more pick. And I don't recognize these names. Craig Hom, I recognize that name. Don't know who he is. All right, so Dan Wild, he is the leader, and he could still win $200,000. He decided Lavender was... he liked Lavender enough to make that play and skip the last race. And it didn't work out, at least the first half of the scenario did not work out. For his sake, hopefully, the favorite does win. And if the favorite wins this race, he can't be beat, or it's most likely he can't be beat. He could be beat if somebody has a capper that gets second place.
Yeah, that's true. I wasn't even thinking about like the day money, but you're right. That's interesting.
Yeah, now the chosen Vron is 1 to 5. 1 to 5 people.
Which means you're going to have prices. So, and what's that really helps Dan Wild, right? One way it helps and one way it hurts him. It really helps him because at 1 to 5, Ryan Leeper can't catch him if he plays it. So he can leave. He doesn't have to worry about Chosen Braun beating him, and so he can pick the next horse after that to try to block Ryan Leeper. So that really helps Dan Wild. But the way it hurts him is
Dan Wild doesn't have a pick.
Oh, that's right. Oh no, that's right. He doesn't have a pick.
So he's rooting for the favorite.
He's rooting for the favorite. Yeah. So that really helps him a lot because he's rooting for it. Yeah. I was thinking, I was surprised that he did not save a pick. I was just assuming he had. That was a bad assumption.
If he loves the chosen Braun, then that would be the right play to make the pick in the price race. That I think we have a difference of opinion on that. Like you're basically saying that under any circumstance you need to have a pick for the last race. I think if Lavender had won, that would have been the right decision for him.
Possibly, but he could play a horse just as good as Lavender in this race, and he would have the chosen Braun. So I don't know. We could debate that, but bottom line is he's just on the sidelines cheering for the favorite and hoping that Ryan Leeper doesn't hit 12 or 15 to 1 shot that runs second or first, because even second could pass him up. So if you're Ryan, you don't want to play like a 4 or 5 to 1 shot. Well, I guess you could if you think it's going to win. But a 10 or 12 to 1 shot, even if it runs second, he could pass up Dan. So Ryan's in a pretty good spot. Salvatore's doesn't have a play. Now your Brian Chenver, he needs $30 to win. And that kind of forces his hand in terms of what horses he can go for.
It looks like William Roth, who ran out of plays early when he was in 7th, he's still in 11th. He's going to take home some cash because he's not going to get passed by 18 people. So he's he's happy. He's just hoping that he doesn't get passed by too many other people. So let's take a quick look at the prize structure, just so people know. The first place prize is $200,000, second is $79,000, third is $39,000, fourth is $29,000. We've gone over that. But what about these lower prizes? They're still pretty good. Fifth is $24,000, sixth is $14,000, seventh through eighth is 12,000. Ninth is 9,000. It's almost 10,000. 10th through 12th is 7,000. 13th through 17th is 5,000. 18th through 21st is 3,700. 22nd through 24th is 2,400. And 25th through 28th, you get your money back, $2,000. So, I mean, if I'm playing a contest like this for 2 days, I'm pretty psyched if I turn my $2,000, assuming that I paid for my entry. I'm pretty psyched if I've turned it into 5,000. I mean, I'm more psyched if I've turned it into 200,000, but like 5,000, it's like, that's not a bad weekend.
Yeah. And I think that's what you have to factor in is what is it that they want out of this contest, right? Not everybody's definitely wants to. I mean, they all want to win, but I mean, there a lot of, like you said, people will be happy just to cash, or maybe move up a few spaces. So you have to factor that into what you're going to play. So I mean, maybe someone will play the Chosen Brawn because it'll move them up 2 or 3 spots on the cash line. I wouldn't do that, but it just depends on what you're trying to get out of the contest.
Nicholas McMurdy may pick the Chosen Brawn because it's worth $10,000. I think it's 5,000. The difference between 5th and 4th.
Yeah.
Because we know Brian Chenbera is not going to pick the Chosen Brawn because that's just not what he does.
Right. That's right. I agree. And so the question will be, and that third place is a real battle. You know, that really is. You've got, 3, 4, a whole bunch of people will be trying to move up into that third spot where because they know Salvatore doesn't have a play. So if anybody hits, they can move up into that third slot. And that might be all they're thinking about. What's that? What is it for third?
Right. And, there's
40,000,
16 out of the top 20 players have a play in this race, 16. So the first and third just happen to be guys that do not have plays. So in a way, that's good for anybody who's behind them because they know, they know what they're shooting for. Now, other people could also have the same horse that are ahead of you, but it's it's. I would love to be in this position, right? I would love to be anywhere in this top 20 and have a play left in this race.
Yeah.
So now the question is, who can beat the Chosen Brawn?
Yeah, that's the question because that's what everyone's hoping they can answer, right? Is who can beat that horse? That's the question. Well, who do you think can beat the horse, Scott? You've picked a few winners so far on the show. Who do you think?
Well, I wrote could be a chalky race, right? So I thought this was a race that potentially could be skipped, but I have to look at the prices but I didn't immediately love a horse right off the bat. I can tell you that. I thought there were many horses that could win. So part of it will be price dependent for me. I would probably say, just based on a quick glance at everything, a quick glance at my numbers, that the horse I would choose is the 11, Mr. Bold.
Whoa, a bold pick. All right. Why would you pick Mr. Bold?
Well, why would I pick Mr. Bold? Well, he ran pretty fast as a 2-year-old at the end of October, or it might be the beginning of November. It was the end of October. And then he improved a little bit in his first race this year. And then he went up to Golden Gate and he improved a little bit again. He's 4 for 5. I mean, he's 4 for 5. And in fact, the only race that he lost was a stakes race going 2 turns at Los Alamitos. So he's 4 for 4 sprinting. He's going 6.5 furlongs, and he's 16-1. That's why I like him.
Well, there's some good reasons. I think you make a good case for him. Let's see what the price is.
I don't know if he'll stay that way because he's a 6-1 morning line.
Mr. Bold is 16-1 right now, and he projected to go off at 10-1. So you're getting a pretty nice price on that horse. A pretty nice horse price. So I like what you're thinking on that one.
And I think we should go over every contender because it is the last race. But before we go over each contender, do you have a play in this race?
Well, the one that kind of interests me is the 2-horse Let's Get Lucky. He is, I think, got a lot of upside. And again, I after any race, I like speed. You know that. So this horse, I think, is just really, really quick. And not only that, it has been working well. And it actually worked with Dream Shake, who was a horse that you were touting in the big race, and held his own in that workout. So, Let's Get Lucky, I think, is the speed. Could get clear, and he's really dangerous.
And he has a BDRF workout report for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, that was probably the workout I was talking about with Dream Shake. So that's probably who I'd like. Who else are you looking at in here?
Well, I certainly think that he's a major contender. So I would agree on that horse, and I'd be afraid of that horse. I think that the Chosen Vron could win this race. I don't think he's a bad favorite. DRF gave him a B+ workout and said he was under a monster hold. So that's like that workout report activity. Like when they get these, so many people read the California workout reports, whether it's DRF or Andy Harrington, that when they're glowing about the workouts, the horses get pounded. It's just what happens. Yeah. So
that horse has a lot
of
of good workouts. So yeah. But I mean, he can't win if he doesn't catch the 2. So my thinking is the 3 may be good, but the 2 may be gone. That's just my feeling. Is he just seems really fast. Now there's other speed in here, but this is a dirt sprint, and the speed of the speed, especially younger horses, often wins it. So that's just the way I saw it.
2 looks pretty perky in the walking ring.
Oh, I'll have to pull my screen up. But it's a commercial on the TV, and I don't have it on the. That's good. 3. I'm looking at the 3 now. He looks fine. He doesn't look super, but he doesn't look. There's nothing to worry about there if you like him. So all right. So who else do you like? The favorite. We agree the favorite's Carson Strong. I like the speed in the 2. You have a long shot with Mr. Bold. You want to go down through every one of them, or how do you want to do this?
Sure. Well, maybe not go over every single one of them, but
all right.
Now this
I don't
horse,
have much to say about the 1.
the 8-horse Big Flame there's 3 cappers in this race, right?
Okay.
Big Flame is the one capper that I think, if you're far behind, that's the horse that could possibly win this race. He ran twice as a 2-year-old, and he ran second in his first race, and then he won his second race as the favorite. And he's been working out really well for his 3-year-old debut. And the trainer, Tim Yakteen, I looked up his stats, a 3-year-old coming off an 180-day layoff on the dirt. He's 2 for 8 with a $2 even ROI. And that's not like amazing. It's not like, stratospheric, but he can do it. It's not a surprising thing. So the horse was pretty fast in August and September. And now he's working better than he was before those races. He's for a trainer that can win off the layoff. So, to me, that if you're in need of a capper to get onto the leaderboard, that's the horse that you pick.
Yeah, I'd say of the cappers, which I think are like the 1, the 8, and the 10, I would go with the 8 too of those 3. I don't particularly think he has a great chance, but like you said, of the 3 cap horses, he's probably the one I would go with. So I'm with you there.
If a capper, go with Big Flame. That's what I would do. But, like Mr. Bold, the more I look at him, the more I like.
The more bold you get. I'll give you a couple horses I think aren't cappers, but all have reasonable chances in here. One is the one I probably like the most after Let's Get Lucky is the 7 Good With People, who ran a big race back as a 2-year-old and ran just recently, kind of ran its best race since then. You know me, those kind of horses, I always like that kind of horse. The only thing I don't like about it is it needs the lead, and I don't think it's fast enough to go with the 2. So, my whole theory is the 2 is just going to run them off their feet. So I'm kind of a little negative on all the other speed horses. But if for some reason they decide to try to rate the 2, or he doesn't get away well, I think the 7 is dangerous. But I do think if the race unfolds the way I think it will, the 7 gets kind of compromised by the race shape. But to me, he's a possibility. Now, if they do go fast, I think the closer I'm most interested in is the 5 horse Found My Ball, who he does have the ability to come from out of it. And, if the race does set up the right way, I think he's a closer who could, take advantage of a hot pace. And he's a pretty good price. He's 13-1 right now. And I think the 7 is 12-1 right now. So both of those would be playable if you're looking for a horse in that range. You could make a big jump up the leaderboard with 30, 40 points with one of those.
Yeah, after Rock Your World won the Santa Anita Derby, certainly I am a little bit fearful of Cargo, for sure.
Well, yeah, Cargo is the other one I had mentioned. That you're right. That's another horse who you have to respect in here, cutting back, going turf to dirt. The horse has no dirt breeding at all, but like you said, that doesn't always matter. And they're taking a shot here. I think part of it is that this is a state-bred stakes race so that, they're more likely to try something different, because they don't get that many chances to win these state-bred stakes. But yeah, that's another one, I think, same kind of price range that would not be impossible.
We have 3 minutes to post, and that's about 4 minutes. We will know who's got what in this last leg of the Players' Championship. We're going to know who the winner is, and shortly after that, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, who would you?
There's no runaway winner here.
Yeah, let's do the who would you play with the people who have a play here at the top of the leaderboard. You're Ryan Leeper, man. You got a chance for $200,000 if you can hit this race. You can't go on with the Chosen Brawn because that's not going to get you there. So who do you go with?
Well, that's interesting. I think I go with. I mean, like
Mr. Bold.
I go with Mr. Bold because he could get second and still win, right?
Yeah, you're right. I would definitely go with Let's Get Lucky because I actually like him quite a bit in here.
Yeah, and look, he's 8-1. I mean, that's a tremendous price on that horse.
Yeah, he might even get $8 to place if Chosen Brawn finished out of the top 2 and he runs second. So might get enough to even get in the place. But I like that horse quite a bit.
Yeah, and here's an important point. The Chosen Brawn could win. One of these price horses could also get second. Let's say it is Mr. Bold. If Ryan Leeper has Mr. Bold, it's conceivable he'd get that $8 place prize, even with Chosen Brawn there.
Yeah, if you can get Chosen Brawn out of the top 2.
But even if he's in the top 2, right? You got a capper like Big Flame, you're going to pay, sometimes it's, when it's that high, that you still get a high place price even with the favorite.
No possible way. Not at when you're at you're what is he 2 to 5 or something? Yeah, he's going to pay $3 to place max unless there's a bridge jumper That's jumping on some other horse.
Well,
So,
all right. Well,
there's no way.
well,
No
hopefully
way.
we don't really want the Chosen Brawn to win this race because
It'll be more
we
fun.
want to see some action.
Unless you're Dan
it'll
Wild.
be more fun.
Dan Wild will be very happy if the Chosen Brawn wins. So let's go down to Brian Chenver, he's $31 out. So Let's Get Lucky's not going to get him there. He's not going to get lucky with it. Let's Get Lucky. You're clearly going to go Mr. Bold. I would probably go Found My Ball, this 5-horse, as the horse to get him over the wire. But, he could say, you know what? I'd be happy just to get past Salvatore Simone and Ryan Leaper. And he could, if he really Let's Get Lucky like I do, he could go with that one and just go for second. And that jumps him up to 80,000. So, that's why it's kind of up to what is your goal? Do you really want to win it all, or are you happy for it with 80,000? If you really like a horse like Let's Get Lucky, maybe you go with that.
Yeah, he has that second entry in 42nd, so he could put a capper on that, but it's still not going to get him there, right?
No, but he could get him some extra money, right? It could get him into the top five.
It would get him into 4th place above himself.
Yeah.
Assuming other people don't have.
Well, yeah, but other people might have it too.
Yeah. But I mean,
what about
he's
Nicholas?
$20 behind Salvador, so he needs at least a 7-1. I don't think Let's Get Lucky is going to go off. He's probably going to take a little late money, and if the Chosen Brawn gets second, Let's Get Lucky is not going to be enough to get him above Salvador Simeone. So
you might be right there. It could be. It might fall a little short. It could be. It's kind of on the border. You're right. It's kind of, and certainly if Chosen Brawn wins or runs second,
what's going to happen is Nicholas McMurdy is going to take Chosen Brawn, and he's going to move up into 4th place above Brian Chenver, and he's going to be happy with that extra $5,000.
Well, they're loading now, so we're going to find out who wins, and we're going to find out who they played here before we find out who wins. And it should be exciting.
Okay, well, they're loading in the gate, and we're going to find out shortly. I got my finger on the Command R, the reload button. There's a horse acting up in the gate, so I don't know if we're going to have a
9 horse. It
looks like the 9's on the ground.
Yeah, that's Cargo, and I got to think they're going to pull them all out, and they're going to scratch the 9. And hopefully, Horse Tourneys is set up to allow players to go back. I guess they have alternate selections, right? So
you can basically you can make your pick until the gates open.
Okay, so there should still be able to go in and make a change, because if you have the 9, I have a feeling it's going to scratch. You should have some time to change your pick, though, because I'm guessing they'll back everybody out. Although they haven't done that yet. Yeah, now they are.
The 8 is out.
Yeah, they're backing them
7
out.
Yeah.
So
this show's going until 10 o'clock tonight. Eastern.
Yes. And all the suspense, all these people. You got Dan Wild, like, he's sweating bullets. He's got another 3 or 4 minutes to wait. Ryan Leaper, he's, oh my goodness. Yeah.
Hey, as far as Dan is concerned, that's one less long shot that can beat him.
That's true. And that lowers the prices on everybody. So that's not a bad thing.
Well, the funny thing is, Let's Get Lucky is up to 9-1 now.
That's kind of amazing. That is really amazing. That's a great price on that horse. If you're at home, bet that horse. If you're not in the contest, that 8-1 on that 2 horse just seems like a crazy good price to me. So we will see.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, he did. He totally gunned it in that last race, and the Racing Flow people gave it a CFR of 92, saying that, the race, including the track bias, registered as a closer biased race, but he still won the race on the lead.
Yeah, not only that, the time form gives him a 135 early pace rating, which is that's like grade 1 sprinter type early pace number. So he's going to be, of course, you never know what'll happen, but I mean, he has the speed to kind of run them off their feet. He does have to get the distance, and he has to get the break, and there's a lot of ifs. But to me, that horse looks like, the play in here if you're betting. And if you're in the contest, it doesn't do a lot of people good other than, I think Ryan Leeper is the one who's obviously wants to be on that horse. I think if he sees the race the way I do, that's to me the obvious play. If for you, it's that 10 horse, the Bold pick, Mr. Bold. And then for me, if you're looking for a bigger price, Found My Ball is probably the one I'd go with. I kind of like, especially now, Good With People's down to 7-1. I'm a little less interested in that one, just because I don't think he can go with the 2 early, and 7-1 doesn't help you much on the contest. All right, they're loading up again. Kind of interesting that some of them have the riders up and some of them don't. So not sure why that's the case.
There might be a bit of a speed duel here. I mean, the Timeform US projects this as a hot pace. And if you look at these numbers, I mean, a lot of these horses like to run near the lead.
They're off, so we'll find out. We'll find out if any of them can go with the 2 early.
All right, and we're going to reload. And Ryan Leeper takes Found My Ball, the 5, and Brian Chenvert takes Cargo, the 9, and Nicholas McMurdy takes the 5, Found My Ball. Bunch of Cargos. Anthony Matera takes Big Flame, the capper, from 8th place. He takes Big Flame.
Ooh, Anthony's going for it. He said, I got rolled last time by a long shot. This time I'm going to be the one that rolls somebody if it comes in. I like it. It's an aggressive play.
All right.
Well, they are kind of dueling up front, so it could set it up. The one's actually getting a pretty good trip at 90-1.
It's saying that the half is 48.
All right. That can't be right.
Good With People takes the lead. Here
Good
comes
With
the
People.
Chosen Brawn.
Chosen Brawn, Good With People. It's going to be tight. Oh, they're bumping. It looks like the Chosen Brawn is going to get there.
And the winner of the contest is Dan Wild.
Dan Wild got what he needed. He was probably screaming his lungs out down the lane. Was anybody on
Good With People?
Were they anybody have a cheer?
The 7 who got second was chosen by the 17th place guy, Robert Turner.
Yeah, he couldn't have won, but he could have moved up into the top 10 with that. But there won't be a lot of movement on the board at all.
It's going to pay at least $3, so he probably went from 17th to 14th, and I don't know if that actually makes a difference in the prize money.
But I don't think we're going to see any change at all in the top 10. I mean, those top 10 players are probably the top, I don't know, top 13 or top 10 or 12. They finished up right there where they started. Going out was kind of uneventful there in terms of there wasn't the drama we had last time in the last race. But nonetheless, that was a good, a great contest for Dan Wild, and maybe we can get him on the phone.
I've already tried. I've already actually reached out to him, and I am not able to get him on the phone. He has not responded.
He's not responding, huh? I say we can maybe talk to Ryan Leeper, but he's probably in a depressed state at the moment. He went with Found My Ball. Wasn't a bad play. That wasn't a bad play for that position.
Yeah. So the winner of the contest is Dan Wild. He he took the chance. He thought the Chosen Vron was not going to be beaten, and that's why he didn't make a pick in this race. And
yeah, and you were
he played
saying
it
the same
right
thing,
way.
Scott. Yeah, that's the way you said to play it. You were right. At least in this instance, you were definitely right. My play was wrong. Oh, they're showing a replay. I don't see any objection or anything.
Yeah, it's just the replay.
Okay.
I think.
Ooh, no, there was a little bit in the back of the pack. Mario Gutierrez on a horse is bouncing around on somebody there. So maybe there is an inquiry. I don't think it's going to affect the front runners. Yeah, it looks like what's the Doug O'Neill horse, Redham O'Neill Silks. He kind of dove in and took a 4-horse out. I don't know what number is that. Let's see.
Well, it looks like it's between Mr. Bold and Found My Ball. So, Mr. Bold, I got fouled by Found My Ball.
It was Found My Ball. So Found My Ball will probably get taken down. No, I think the one he ran into was None Above the Law. I think it was the 4-horse he came over on. But I think he'll come down. That won't affect the top 3. It won't affect the contest, but it might delay the official results. But it looked like good old Mario caused a little bit of a problem there. And he'll have to pay the.
But we'll see how that goes. Let's see if we can see what kind of movement maybe. What do we think the Good with People is going to pay to place?
I'll tell you what. Let me look at the place pool. And Chosen Vron had 51,000 out of 126,000 and 13,000. So 64, 30, 15. Looks like he might pay $4 or $5 to place.
He was second choice. So
$4 or $5. So that's not going to move. That might move Robert Turner up into 13th place or possibly 12th. I don't see him going any higher than that. I don't know what's that worth.
Yeah, it's not going to pay $6. It's not going to pay $6. So he might get into 13th. And he might get into 13th. Yeah.
So we're having about as little movement on a leaderboard as you could possibly have.
Well, here's the thing: the 13th through 17th pays the same amount of money.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So he's just moved up 4 spots potentially, but he's not getting any. Not
at
getting
the head of the lane,
cash.
It looked like he might move up a lot more than 4 spots. That was a pretty good pick.
Hey, look, he's not moving down, and right. he's guaranteed now to win at least $4,900. So if I'm Robert Turner, I'm pretty happy right now.
Yeah, and I would say that the players near the top of the board, to me, were making good plays, and you never know what their opinion is of the race, but they made plays that made sense in the context of where they were and the price of the horse. So, I commend the players. I'm not surprised. These guys are probably all pretty veterans playing these contests, and Horse Tourneys gives you ample opportunity on a daily basis to hone your skills. But I say definitely, if this contest was 10 years ago, you would have had a lot of kind of weird plays at the end that don't make sense. You don't see that as much anymore. And just bottom line is, it's harder to win these contests. You have to really have a good day, and you can't make mistakes. And these guys in the top of the leaderboard had a couple of good days, and they didn't make a lot of mistakes. And the winning score was actually under $200, which is kind of low. I would have predicted it would be higher than that. I think we talked to Ed last night, and he asked me that, and I think I said 225. I thought would be the winning score, so kind of a low score. But I'm sure Dan Wild is thrilled with that total.
So some other people did make moves. Carl Logan was in 27th, which is worth $2,000, and he had Good with People, and he is likely to move up at least into 24th, which will get him $2,400. So that's a good thing.
That's good.
Now Adam Lewis was in 13th. and he picked the Chosen Vron, and that's going to pay. What do we think that's going to pay? $5?
Yeah, I was going to ask, did anybody pick the Chosen Brawn? Did anybody have him on the top of the leader on the first page of the leaderboard?
Yeah, Adam Lewis did.
I don't
he's in
see 13th. That. Where? Oh, okay. I missed that. How did I? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's
colorblind, maybe.
I don't know. So yeah, that's interesting. So what was he hoping for? Let's see. That moves him up how far? Probably.
Well, that gets him from 13th, 13th maybe to 10th.
Yeah. So what is that worth? Let's see how clever he was to move up.
So that gets him from 4,900 to 7,400. That's like making $2,500 on
a 3 to 5
1
shot.
to 2.
Yeah. That's awesome. So actually, that was a clever play. Assuming that was what he, that made sense. Now some people might have shot a little higher, but hey, that was from an ROI EB, positive EB play. That was a very clever way to approach it. Now, are we official yet?
Look, there were a lot of reasons to like the Chosen Vron. So, I would have skipped the race, but he had a play, and he decided like the best way for him to increase his equity was by choosing the Chosen Vron. And do we think the Chosen Vron is going to pay more than good with people, or do you think it's going to be close?
I think he'll pay more than good. I mean, it'll be close because neither one's going to pay very much. But I mean, Chosen Vron's going to pay, let's see, $5 to win and probably $2.20 to place. So he's going to pay between $7 and $8, and good with people will probably pay $4 or $5 to place.
Okay, let's see if Rob Haney, who picked the Chosen Vron, and Raymond Riley,
there, right?
I'm sorry?
He had a couple entries that were in contention, Rob Haney, right?
Yes, he did. But his top entry was in 35th, and the 34th place also chose the Chosen Vron. And let's say that they're going to make $5, so they're going to get into, it's going to be close. I don't know if they're going to make the top 28.
I can't believe it's taken this long on inquiry for fourth place. I mean, just take the horse down. It was pretty obvious he interfered.
Okay, it is official.
Okay, good.
It is official. They're just not showing they're not showing any Santa Anita.
Oh, because it's that golden hour double, so they're showing
golden hour. So the winner is Dan Wild with $199.10, and I can actually kind of look over here and figure these things out. Dan Wild is the winner at $199. He wins $200,000. Ryan Leaper gets second, and he wins $79,000.
Guys. That
Congratulations,
is
Dan.
awesome.
Hopefully Dan's listening. And Ryan Leaper, second, $79,000. So he got some day money yesterday. Salvador Simeone, who a little bird has tweeted in my ear that he is a brand new player. He just started playing, so probably within the last year.
I think he's hooked. Would you say he's hooked?
That's how we do it.
Yes, not bad.
That's how we do it, Salvador. Welcome.
Yes. That's awesome.
Wow.
I love it. I love getting the new players involved in contests, new players involved in racing in general. We got to do more of that, and contests are a great way to get people involved.
Yeah, and Brian Chenvert hangs on for fourth, which is worth $29,000. I don't know why Nicholas McMurdy played favorites all day and then didn't play them in the last few races. If he had chosen the Chosen Vron, he would have made an extra $5,000. He must not be listening to this telecast because
he still made $25,000.
We told him what to do.
$25K. I think he'll be happy.
And Adam Lewis did jump from 13th to 9th with the Chosen Vron, and that's worth an extra $2,500 for him. And Robert Turner went from 17th to 14th, so he didn't change his payoff, but he still goes home with $4,900, and he's pretty happy about that.
Yeah, and Anthony Matera with an 8th place finish. I mean, that's pretty awesome. He was third, and he led almost the whole way until that long shot came in the last race last time. So Anthony's kind of thrown the gauntlet down for anybody to try to catch him in that overall points race, he's got to have a pretty good lead with those two great finishes.
I'm just taking a peek at the list, and Bill Chenver finished 9th in the last contest, and he just finished 4th. So
Bill and Anthony are got a battle going there. Two great finishes. To finish in the top 10 and these two contests consecutively, that is very impressive. Very impressive. Those two guys, they should be very pleased with their effort. I'm sure they wish they had a little more of a payday, but Brian, what did you get for 4th? 30,000 almost, and
29,000.
Anthony got 12,000, and he won. He had a pretty good winnings last time. 3rd place, I think, paid a little bit more in the last contest, or close to what we have here. So those guys definitely had 2 really good contests in a row, which is hard to do. And the formats were a little bit different too. So that just shows you they're, regardless of the format, they're going to be right there. A couple people just kind of regular contest veterans that I see on the leaderboard. Ken Seaman got a nice 10th place finish, so that was good. Ken's veteran player that's done well in many contests in the past. Let's see who else. Good old Basil kind of faded a little bit today, but he still finished 17th in cash. Jamie Michelson, a former NHC champion.
A birdie tweeted in my ear that's actually his father, James Michelson.
That's James. So. Oh, James, really nice guy too. He gets 18th place. He cashed, so that's great. Both Michelsons, great father-son team. Rob Henny, we had talked about. What was the final? How low did the prize money go down to 28?
28. So he did actually get up into 27.
Yes. He got in there. He got some cash. Good job, Rob. That was a good finish for him. And that's kind of the end of the cash line.
That's the end of the cash line.
So who was the unlucky person that just missed cashing? 29.
Justin Wonderler.
He missed it by 20 cents. Yeah. Oh, ouch.
Tough game.
30.
Well,
yeah.
Listen, we've been on for 2 hours and 40 minutes, and it's time for us to wrap it up. I want to thank Horse Tourneys for giving us the opportunity to do the show. We've had a blast. We really enjoyed it. It was a lot easier to do this time, and I think hopefully it showed, and the production was a higher quality. So thank you for that opportunity. Thank you, Eric and McKay, and thank you, the viewers. Thanks for joining us for the Players Championship show, and congratulations to Dan Wild for winning $200,000. And we will see you again for the 3rd leg of the Tourney Triple, August 14th and 15th, when we host the Spa and Surf Showdown. Until then, keep on cashing.
Great job, guys. Cheers.